This should be working now. Let's just see. There we go. All right, we have a new link, so I will try to. Um, yeah, there we go. All right. So I will try to spam the link for the old chat. All right, here we go. Where's the old chat? Here we go. All right. So theoretically, less screen tearing this time. I'm just going to get the new chat working as well. So to do that, I just press here. There we go. And I will still read all of the old super chats from the previous stream at the end of this stream. So do not fret. I will still read all those. So hopefully there's no screen tearing here. Anyway, so as I started talking about in the previous stream, BoJack Horseman, I enjoyed it overall. It got better as it went along. It was a nice thing to just watch with my boyfriend. It was a nice, just comfy show to like get back to every once in a while and watch over a long period of time. But I really wish they would have went further and committed harder on the more serious elements. I wish the animation style was better. Like the style of it, I just don't prefer. Voice acting was good. And oh yeah, the rehearsal's on the list. I'll make sure to talk about that for sure. Yeah, I would give BoJack at least a 7. So yeah, 1 second while I organize these windows here. Dun, dun, dun. What did I give Joe back? I gave it a 7. I gave it a 7. I think that's fine. I think that's acceptable. After Sun, I already talked about in my Toronto Film Festival review. You should watch that. Thank you. All right, so we talked about BoJack Horseman. I don't know if I really need to talk about Zootopia Plus since I just released a video of me reacting to it. Everything that you could possibly hear me talk about in that show, I talk about there. So I'm gonna change the text. Let's see. Let's talk about the rehearsal. All right. So the rehearsal is the new show by Nathan Fielder. Nathan for You. If you haven't seen Nathan for You, please watch it. It's one of the best shows ever. I did a video on it. I did a little video on it. Some people got really weird about my video on it because I was like, I was having this thing where I was like, okay, well, he needs to be, someone that like businesses aren't going to know who he is in order to do the show properly. So I always had this fear of like, okay, well, what if I do a video and it just makes his job that much harder? Because I know that for certain artists like, Eric Andre or the Jackass crew, which is why they had to start, dressing up as other characters and doing makeup and blah, 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 which is why they did Jackass #2 in Japan. Like, it becomes more difficult to like prank people the more well recognized you are. And so I mentioned that in my video, just being like, yeah, like I didn't want to contribute to the possibility of his job being more difficult while it was still on the air, sort of thing. And there were some people that interpreted that as like, oh, you think that you have more of a pull than Comedy Central? You think that, no, that doesn't mean more. That doesn't mean more. There's tons of people, like, yeah, he was on Jimmy Kimmel. There's tons of people with like television shows and have been on like late night talk shows that are still, not household names. And I'm not the make or break point, but I believe that everybody has an impact on the world, myself included with everyone else. And so maybe it might not be as simple as like, oh yeah, I make a video on it and then it's like the most popular thing in the world. But it could be, I make a video on it, other people notice it, other people make videos on it. And to suggest that isn't a possibility is just inaccurate because things like that, like to some degree, have happened. You know, like I changed for the most part the public discourse around Kimba. Um, you know, Nanolan. If you look at the Google search results for that, like those exploded after I made a video about it. Like now more people know about that, but you know, cool cat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm not. That was just such a weird thing for people to say. There were some people that thought like, oh, the Mr. Hot Shit thinks he's so important, blah 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 blah. It's like no, I think that we all have an impact on the world, right? Anyway, I'm not. I'm not. I have more of an audience than someone who's speaking to 0 people, and I have less of an audience than someone who's speaking to 10 million people. Right? It's somewhere in between. Anyway, the rehearsal. If you haven't seen Nathan For You, definitely see that. The rehearsal is basically like him continuing some of his concepts that he explored in Nathan For You, where he's pranking real life people, but it's more of like it's always kind of been a deep character study on the people that he features. But this one follows the same people for longer. Like it follows individuals over the course of like several episodes. And it becomes this weird like art piece. And it's like if Nathan Fielder made Synecdoche, New York, where it's about, you know, time and, you know, trying to, you know, take things back for, you know, the time moves faster than it should in weird ways intentionally. And it's about like trying to like figure out what your life could be sort of thing. It's like actually crazy and very purposeful and very like weirdly philosophical. I'm just going to adjust the heating in my room. Hold on. Got a little cold. It's very purposeful and very philosophical, and it's short. It's only like 6 episodes. They're all like 40 minutes long or something. But it's so hilarious, and I love the cringe humor. But the way that it's edited, it's like simultaneously ironic and unironic at the same time. The music choices that they use in the show are almost like a parody of reality television, but it's also still presenting something that is so genuine that it's simultaneously parody and not parody at the same time. So it's really, yeah. Finding Francis was great. So it's just a phenomenal show, and I'm so happy they're making season 2. I'm so happy we're getting another season of How To with John Wilson, which is also produced by Nathan Fielder. You should also watch that. Yeah, highly recommend The Rehearsal. I think I'm giving it a 10. I think I gave it like a 10 because like it's one of those shows that is so special, and it touches on something so genuine and real. Yeah, I definitely gave it a 10. It's phenomenal, and I'm just excited that Nathan Fielder is creating shows. I'm excited that I'm you know, alive at the same time and can be you know, looking forward to him producing new content. And yeah, I do think it's better than Nathan For You. It touches on something. It's like less cynical than Nathan For You. It is somehow like more devious but less cynical. It is more manipulative but more genuine, and honest, if that makes sense. Isn't that weird? I love pieces of media that almost seem kind of contradictory in terms of like what they are, where it is something and it isn't at the same time. There's very few things that manage to pull that off. And yeah, I think it's incredible. Love The Rehearsal. Awesome show. Please watch it. All right, so I guess I'm just going to go into Avatar here. And I'll try my best not to spoil it as I'm talking about it. If I go into spoiler territory, here's the thing. If I do go into spoiler territory, if I feel like I have to, actually, I think I will. Because there's a lot of things I have to say about this that like it necessarily requires me to talk about. So the spoiler things. So what you can do if you're watching at home is you can mute the video until this text right here goes away. And you'll know that we're not talking about Avatar: The Way of Water if you don't wish to be spoiled for it. So you can just mute the video, and then as soon as that text disappears, could be 10 minutes from now, I don't know. Just mute the video. I don't know why it's screen tearing. This is pissing me off. 1 second. It shouldn't be. I'm not going to restart the stream again this time. We're just going to deal with it. Let's see if I can deactivate. Yeah, hopefully no more screen tearing. I can't tell. So I'm actually gonna put in the text. There. And that way no one can complain. All right. Avatar: The Way of Water. I was one of few people on the planet that was even remotely excited for this film. I'm going to get my notes open too. Oh, my notes are on my phone. I can just do them here. Hold on. Because I saw it in theaters. Avatar 2. Okay. I was one of few people that was even remotely excited for this film because I was excited to see like a fun tech movie. And I did get that to some extent. I did get that to some degree. There was about 30 minutes of the movie, basically, where I feel like it delivered on what I wanted out of it. And all I wanted out of it was just, the fun sense of adventure and discovery that the original film had, hopefully with some like good music to go along with it. What I didn't realize before going into this film is that the composer of the first movie died, I think. So they used a different composer. So I didn't realize that until after, and that could easily explain why I didn't connect with this one as much on, certain levels. Yeah, let's see. Composer Simon Franklin. So yeah, really, not the same composer. And then let's look up the original composer. I think it was like James Horner or something. Let's just get this correct. James Horner, who died in 2015, and that sucks because I really enjoyed his score from the first film. I thought that the way the music worked with scenes and how it was used in the first film was very emotionally effective. I thought that even though the first film, the first Avatar, was something where it's like, oh yeah, it's just Pocahontas, it's just Ferngully, it's just Dances with Wolves. Even though, it is those things, it did a safe by the books story. The story was more or less just a vehicle to present this new world and to give us these emotions of the music working together with these like shots of him, flying on the dragon thing and all this new vibrant technology and like the night scenes with the glowy plants and the, fucking weird shit they do with their tail and stuff. It more or less, the story was more or less just an excuse to give us the spectacle. And when I experienced the spectacle of the first film, it was less about, oh, wow, the technology looks so real, and more about how they use the technology to express emotions. It was more about how they utilize the technology in combination with the music to make me feel something. And that was really missing from Avatar: The Way of Water. There was a lot of technological achievement in terms of the technology on a base level, but in terms of what it was in service of, in terms of what it was trying to get at by existing, the technology should be in purpose of something, right? Like if we're gonna make a comparison to like Lion King 2019, like the technology in of itself isn't bad. It should just be in service of something. It should be in service of something genuine. Hopefully, if you're creating art, I can get some sort of genuine feeling out of something. And I really didn't for most of this film. I did for like maybe half an hour out of the entire film. And even then, during that half hour, it still felt cynical. It still felt like, oh, cash grab. Like you're showcasing the technology, but I don't care about the story or the characters. I watched it in a proper IMAX in high frame rate 3D. So in the best scenario possible to experience it. I feel like I got a worse experience out of the movie because I watched it in high frame rate. Because although high frame rate, that would be cool to just watch the entire movie in a higher frame rate, unfortunately, it was not a constant frame rate throughout the entire film. There were one out of every like maybe 20 shots in many scenes where it would change from like 48 frames per second to 30 or 24. And I'd be like, why is the frame rate changing? Like certain shots, it would just decide like, oh, actually, we don't want to do high frame rate for this shot. And I'm like, I don't care what frame rate you present the film. Just stay at a consistent frame rate throughout the entire movie. I don't want to be thinking about the frame rate the entire movie, right? When you have a decision like high frame rate, it looks weird for the first however long of the movie, the first like 10 minutes, then you adjust to it and you're like, okay, and you just kind of forget about it, right? That's not what happened in this movie. I was constantly thinking about the frame rate because it was constantly changing. And that was just so fucking annoying. And I don't understand like how, as an artist, you would release it like that. Or maybe just I don't know. There's a good chunk of people that didn't notice. Alex and I definitely noticed it. We talked about that on the latest Sardonicast episode. But yeah, that was really fucking annoying and distracting. So my experience with the high frame rate was that I wish I saw it in 24 frames per second. So that kind of sucks. I was adjusting the heat. So yeah, the high frame rate sucked. There was a part that I didn't mention in the podcast that I just found to be very funny. There was a person in like one of those like large mech suits, and they, you've got their arm and they're controlling a larger arm, their feet, they're controlling larger feet, and they're just inside this mech suit. And for some reason, and this is not like a huge deal, don't call me nitpicky because I'm not giving much weight to it, but I just found this funny and I would like to point it out. For some reason, they had her drinking like a cup of coffee, but the coffee was being held in the mech arm, even though it was a normal sized cup of coffee that she brought to her mouth. And the way that they showed it was so confusing because they cheated it so that she was holding it not in her real arm, but she was controlling the mech arm to bring it to her face. And the way that they cheated the shot, you never actually saw what her real arm was doing in terms of making contact, because that wouldn't make sense, because her arm would have to like go through herself, like go through her, like that doesn't make sense how she'd bring it to her face. What I would, if I were filming that scene and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have the person in the mech cup sipping the coffee, what I would do is I would just, if they're picking it up with their mech arm, they use their mech arm on one arm to then pass it to their real arm on their other arm, their real other arm, and then they just go like that. Simple. You don't have to make it like stupid. But yeah, the way that they cheated the shot. They cheated the shot and had it like, oh, let's just not show how this works, even though we really want to show this happening, but it just doesn't make any sense. So that was stupid. What's her name? Let's see what her name is. Zoe Saldana. She was great. I like her performance. However, at this point in time, now that we're kind of getting into the groove and routine of what these films are, I'm just like, she's great at crying, but I'm like, is that all her character's going to do now? Is just cry for every movie? And she's just constantly, that's all her character is now? She's just crying all the time. And I would like to see a bit more range, I guess, but I guess that's asking too much out of like a James Cameron movie that's cynically made even for like his standards. And I guess, yeah, part of the spoiler discussion here. I fucking hated the story. I knew that I was going to be at least annoyed by the story, because in the trailer they show that what's his face, Stephen Lang's character, the army guy, they show that he's back in the trailer, if you're paying attention. And he's back as an Avatar Blue Boy. Dabba-dee-dabba-die. And so I was like, okay, there's no good reason why he's going to be back. This is kind of annoying. But I hope it's not like the whole movie. But it kind of was. It kind of was the whole movie. It was just like, okay, now it's just some weird revenge story where they say at the beginning of the movie, I guess the Earth military decided to make Avatar clones of the bad guys, just in case they died. And this all happened off screen. Like, it just wasn't communicated in the first movie at all, just because. And it all happened right before the final fight of the first movie, so that it was late enough in the story to have him be like, oh, Jake Sully betrayed me in his memory. But early enough so that it actually existed. So they just pretend like this tiny little, like, oh, this was actually happening the whole time. Which is, like, I don't think it's a stretch to say this is like Saw levels of writing. This is like Saw 4. This is like Saw, like, to just be like, actually, this happened before, and we just decided not to show it in the first movie. Like, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And then the entire story is just like, I'm going to kill you. And then he shows up. The Earth military is funding this revenge mission now, I guess, because otherwise I don't know how they're being funded. And this is just all that they're doing now is like, we're going to kill Jake Sully, and that's their mission. Which is like just the most annoying. I wish there was something more out of it. Like, sure, there's like the other part of the story where there's like, okay, the Earth military wants the fucking whale goo because it can make people live forever, and we've forgotten about the fucking what do they call it? Not unobtainium, but super bantium or whatever. They've forgotten about that shit, and so now we're on to a different like kind of MacGuffin thing. Yeah, but the plot still had basically like it almost had nothing to do with that MacGuffin, even though they introduced it. It was the reason why they were trying to like kill the whales. And yeah, so the Stephen Lang's character and his squad of blue people who hate that they're blue people, but are going to get revenge on Jake Sully now. They land on Pandora. I guess they were in space before, where their pods are or something. So they land on Pandora, and I guess the you can see like their ships. They're like, oh, there's a star coming towards us in the distance. That means it's like a fuck. There's landing. There's some human ships landing, and out of everyone, so Pandora's supposed to be like, I don't know, a planet, right? Like a large habitat or something. But then like the only characters that decide to investigate the ship's landing just happen to be Jake Sully's children, like just those characters, just the characters that are directly attached to Jake Sully. Like we're supposed to believe that like not only are there so many tribes on this fucking planet, but even within that tribe that he's in, we're theoretically supposed to believe that it's not just like 5 people in the tribe, right? And it's just kind of weirdly convenient and fucking annoying that it's like, oh, okay, literally Jake Sully's children just fucking bump into the antagonist that's looking for him. Like, fuck off. Like, it couldn't have been some other character. Like, we literally have to start right away with the like, oh, the stakes are, those are his children. And I wouldn't feel as bad if he tried to kidnap people that weren't his children. So now we're making it his children that are kidnapped because then you feel more bad because we've established them as his children. And that's just, yeah, it was so annoying and so bullshit. And they keep just bumping into each other the rest of the fucking movie. And it's like, yeah, like he's hunting them. I get it. But it really tore away the feeling that I got of how expansive the universe was in the first film, because it was really only focusing on like one tribe in the first film. But I got the impression, the implication of the first film was that the universe was more expansive than what was shown. Now in this film, it feels like the universe just isn't that expansive at all, and like just characters bump into each other, like just the specific characters that need to interact with each other for the sake of the plot device script. It's so fucking annoying. It reminded me of like A Quiet Place, where it's like, okay, you don't care how the story gets there, you're just gonna make it get there, and you don't care how, and you don't respect the audience. You're not gonna try and make anything happen in any kind of like a natural way. You're just going to be like, well, it's got to happen, so we'll just do it in this bullshit fart way, right? And so, yeah, very frustrating, annoying watch where like I didn't give a shit about any of his children. They pissed me off near the beginning of the movie where they started speaking Na'vi, this language that, let's remember, James Cameron invented an entire language and all this fucking lore in the first movie. They start this movie and they're like, and Jake Sully says, hey audience, I actually know Na'vi so well that it's basically like I'm hearing English. And then the film changes all the Na'vi to English from that point on, where it's like, oh, you don't have to read subtitles. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You don't have to read subtitles anymore. I can't possibly expect an audience to read subtitles. It's like, you invented this fucking language. And people are giving it like there's some comments on the Sardonicast episode that we published recently, and people are like, Adam, that's unreasonable. I'm like, it's not. You invented an entire language. Adam, these actors would have to learn an entire language to be able to do it. Fucking, like, Tilda Swinton learned 2 languages for I Am Love. She learned Russian and Italian so she could speak Russian with an Italian accent, or like vice versa, Italian with like a Russian accent. Like, fuck off. You're going to tell me like the instance, like if this was a low budget movie, this was like an indie movie, like this was just like some random people making a movie, not James Cameron, from like Disney, Fox, and then Disney money, coming off of the highest grossing film ever made, 13 years long production or whatever the fuck, right? Like theoretically infinite resources and time. You're going to tell me like that would be the scenario where like it's just too much to ask for any, like you don't even really have to like teach them the language. You just have to teach them how to enunciate specific lines from the film. Really, that's all you have to do. You just teach them how to say the stuff that you wrote in the script. You invented a language and then you just discarded it because you don't respect the audience and because it's apparently too much to ask of English speakers specifically to read subtitles. Which is just annoying. I just hate it. I hate the implication. And everybody acts like reading subtitles is a fucking chore. But it's not. It's not a chore at all. Like I get that to some people it might be. but I just don't empathize with that. I don't feel those things that people say that I'm supposed to feel. When it's like, oh no, subtitles is like an effort. No, it's not. It's not distracting either. I don't understand why people pretend like you can't pay attention to the movie, even a visual movie, if you're reading subtitles. That's not a thing for me. I don't get it when people say that. So, and also, let's remember this shit. During this 30-minute long, 20 or 30 minutes of the film, where they are showcasing this whole like, oh, they're exploring the water culture and they're learning how to fucking fly the water things now and the whale and blah, 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 blah. During all of that like visual eye candy, they're barely speaking. There's not that much dialogue during those scenes anyway. Most of the dialogue is during the dialogue scenes. So it really wouldn't be that distracting. I don't think it's unreasonable to be disappointed by them just deciding to discard a language that they invented for the first film. I would actually, I don't know if I would rather have this. Like, it would almost make more sense if they were just like, oh, I taught them English. That would be funny, but that would also kind of piss me off, yeah. Avatar 2 is making a lot of money. It passed $1 billion already, I think, so we'll see what happens. But Corsage is on my list. I didn't get a chance to see it at TIFF. Anyway, yeah, that's how I feel about a few things. Oh, yeah, the child acting was bad. The character that played Spider was not a good actor. Sorry, the actor that played Spider. He wasn't bad, but he was not enough to be convincing where it was necessary, where he was yelling or where he was like in peril or anything like that. It was really unconvincing. However, with all of the Na'vi characters, which was like almost everyone but Spider, all of the Na'vi characters, even if someone gives like a not perfect performance, they can sweeten it up, which they so obviously did with the child Na'vi character, the youngest of Jake Sully's children, because you can hear it in the voice. You can hear that they're about the same quality, the same caliber of actor as the kid that played Spider, but you don't see it as much in the face, and so it's obvious like, oh, okay, you sweetened it a little bit, and you couldn't do that with Spider, so that was kind of annoying. And yeah, let's see what else we got. I hated the fucking story. The first hour of the movie was like just genuinely frustrating, and just I was bored and checked out and pissed off and upset and angry and yeah, just stuck in a fucking theater for what felt like forever. Didn't give a shit about anybody. One of Jake Sully's sons looks too much like him. They like have the same face and like maybe different hair, but there would be scenes where there would be like barely any dialogue because he's just doing a thing. Like there's a battle and then it cuts to him like flying a thing and it's like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, what just happened to Jake Sully? And then he'd open his mouth and it would be like, oh, that wasn't Jake Sully. That's a different voice. So I'm glad they killed off that character because it was getting confusing for me and it was kind of annoying. The dialogue sucked, yes. When they did kill off his character, I felt nothing. I was kind of just happy. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, fucking kill them. I don't give a shit. Holy crap. It was so annoying how they did the whole, like, oh, we all get to, like the dead body in front of us and we're all, like, caressing it as he dies, and then Zoe Saldana is like, and just, yeah, it was just so fucking cheesy and shit. And, yeah, that was annoying. Let's see what else we got. The story not only sucks, but it's offensive that it took them like 13 years. And this is the story that they made when there's so many other things they could have done with the universe. There's so much more they could have explored, but they just decided, oh, we'll just do water movie and it's a revenge story, even though there's like no good reason why Stephen Lang's character should be back, or B, why the writers of this film feel as though they need Stephen Lang's character to be back in this film. That's more confusing. What's more confusing than him being back in the context of the film is why the writers, including James Cameron, feel like he needs to be back for this film to work. When you could have created a different villain, or just like there's so much more you could have done. He wasn't like a particularly interesting or great villain. They fleshed him out a bit more in this story, like to some degree. by giving him a son, because apparently everybody was fucking. And that now that I say that out loud, it does seem like kind of like one of the lamest ways to flesh out a character, which is also just like stupid, corny, by the books checklist. Like, oh, they're a real character now because they have a son. Like, fuck off. It's so annoying. Jermaine Clemens is in it for some reason. He was really distracting and weird. Here's a question that I have for the movie. So one of Jake Sully's sons gets tricked by the Water Tribe children, teenagers, because they had a little bit of a scuffle. And oh, it was so lame. He was like, "Watch, I know how to do this crazy thing where you take your hand and you make a fist, and then you punch." And it's like the implication of the film was suggesting that this entire tribe didn't know how to punch. Like, they have hands. They know how to like hit each other. If they've ever hit anyone ever, which you'd assume like any species knows how to hit something, unless they just like bite each other and that's all they do. Like they're humanoids. They're humanoids. They have limbs. They should know like what a hit is before it's happening. Like he just does it in front of them, like, and they don't see it coming. They're like, "What is he doing with his fist? What could he?" Like they didn't even realize that he was doing anything threatening. Right? They were like caught off guard by it. That was the implication. So that was fucking stupid. And then they get mad and they're like, "Oh, we'll trick him. We'll pretend like we're being his friend. We'll be like, hey, if you want to go hunt some cool stuff, come over here." And then they lead him into this death trap. They literally lead him into a death trap. Death jam. They lead him into a death trap where there's a gigantic fish monster, and they just ditch him there, and they're like, haha, he's going to die. And they leave, and he's without like a swimming creature. The swimming creature leaves. He's going to drown. He literally almost drowns. He does drown and then comes back to life, actually. I think he drowns twice in the movie. That's the same character I don't remember. No, yeah, he got shot later. There's two characters. Yeah, he drowns at one point, and then Jake Sully drowns later. Both of them survive their drowning. Even though they like inhale water, but there's probably some stupid excuse like, oh, actually the Na'vi don't need to expel water out of their lungs. They'll be fine, even though they theoretically breathe air. But so he drowns, almost gets eaten by this fish monster, just happens to get saved by this whale that is not is some sort of like outcast whale, because they thought that he was responsible for like the death of his tribe even though he wasn't, or something. Oh, hello. And he almost dies. He literally almost dies. They were trying to murder him. That was an attempted murder, and they never address it again the entire movie. And they're just all like hanging out. And I'm like, you're not going to tell your father that these kids you're not going to tell the tribe that these kids tried to murder you? Are they going to try and murder you a second time? That's never going to be addressed. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes long. You're never going to address it once. You're never going to address the fact that like literally these characters that you're there with attempted to murder you. And that's it. And nobody addresses it ever again. And it's really lame. And I thought I missed something, but I didn't. I didn't even take a pee break that entire time. I didn't even miss it. So it wastes a lot of time. It dicks around and then just doesn't deliver on anything that I want out of it, aside from like a 30-minute section of the film where I was like, okay, yeah, the music's kind of working together when I'm getting some of the underwater shots. And the underwater shots looked fucking amazing. It looked fantastic. I loved the underwater shots. But it was like 30 minutes of the film, really. And then there's some parts of the action scene near the end as well that work well, you know? But like 2 hours and 45 minutes of just wanting to leave and just being frustrated and annoyed for 30 minutes of fun. It was not worth it. It was really not worth it. And it's insulting and disrespectful to the audience that they took this long to just create such a shit story in service of nothing other than just making money, is what it seems. It was very boring, checked out, no proper sense of scale for the universe. It betrays its own universe. Yeah, transparent script, didn't respect its audience. Everybody seemed to love it. I had bare minimum expectations, and it still didn't deliver. Characters sucked. Never any tension or any conflict. I didn't give a shit about anything happening. Yeah. Just reading the rest of my notes here. Oh, yeah, there was a get me out of here scene. That was the only time that I was, like, engaged in the movie. Is one of the characters got trapped and they were like, let me out of here. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm the get me out of here guy in my head. And I was just laughing by myself in the theater. And I tried, I wasn't loud or anything. Oh yeah, there was this weird fucking thing that was happening in the movie where like some of the Foley noises seemed like YouTube poop levels of Foley where they kept like repeating basically the same noise. So when the sea creature is like it's like the same noise over and over again, and it sounds so shit, especially because it's underwater. I thought that the sound design underwater was bad compared to like what it could have been. Like that could have been like an incredible thing to communicate, is like the underwater sound design. That could have been fucking cool. But that like hearing over and over again, like especially underwater, and it's just like the same sound over and over. I was like, huh. And it just sounded like fucking YouTube poop. It sounded like YouTube poop level sound effects. And then I started noticing it again, like at other parts in the movie, like the sound effect with those like wrist bracelets, those like handcuffs that they clamped. It was like, and it's the same sound of it. When the guy is like using a fire hydrant to like bonk someone over the head, it was like boom, 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 boom. And it was just like, this is a YouTube poop. And it just kept happening. Like the wing flapping of like the flying creatures. And I was like, what the fuck? All of it seemed so cheesy and weird. Yeah, music was much better in the first movie. I had that in my notes before I even knew that it was a different composer. And I guess my last thing to say about it is like, I wish that even if we were going to do the story of Stephen Lang hunting down Jake Sully, I wish that even if that was that was absolutely necessary and you have to do that to make the movie, I wish that it showed a bit more of the effort to hunt him down, because again, it felt like they're not properly utilizing this expansive universe and all the lore that they created. Like I would like to have seen scenes other than just like he kidnaps one of the kids, he kidnaps Spider, he gets a bird, and it's like a member of the first movie because he had to get a bird, and then like he just shows up at the water tribe and is like, I checked the other tribe already. Like, did they even show them checking the other tribe? I don't think they did. Did they? I think they might have actually. No, because when they were doing the translation, when Spider was doing the translation, that was the first instance with the water tribe. I don't even think they showed them interacting with the original tribe that they were staying away from in order to like hide. Right? Yeah, we didn't even see them interact with the tree Navi. I would have loved to see them interact with. There's more than one water tribe that are in separate locations. It was difficult to get a sense of scale for that because the information seemed to quickly get to Jake Sully when they were having like some medical thing where his daughter / Ripley's daughter, not Ripley, what's her name? Fucking Sigourney Weaver's daughter, had like a seizure, and they were like looking after her. And then meanwhile, they burned down one of the water tribe. But like, how far away is that? And like, that's it. The sense of scale I got, it didn't seem like that was like very far away. It seemed like that was just like another spot on the island, and they just didn't know that they were indoors. Because it's not like they set fire to like some of the huts, but like I don't know what. It was weird. I felt like I didn't get a proper sense for scale, and I would have loved to see some other types of tribes or other, like, I don't know, like King Kong. Peter Jackson's King Kong is like a similarly lengthed film. And I feel like they did so much more with the environment in that film. And it's a cheesy movie, don't get me wrong. but they did so much more in terms of like conflicts and environments and like creatures and like the scene with all those insects and maggots, and like you could have just not had that, but they actually, even though they were using the first King Kong as a blueprint, like I don't know, it like this film felt so fucking empty and repetitive for 3 hours and 15 minutes long. It just felt so drawn out, so pointless, and it just took forever to do basically nothing, and it felt disrespectful to its audience, and I hated it. It was dumb, and I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. Thank you. All right, so we're going to change the text here. Let's see. All right, no more Avatar spoiler discussion. Y'all can come back. Ugh. I'm getting a bit of like phlegm because it's kind of like dry here when it's cold. It's annoying. All right, I gotta pee. I'll be back. Glass Onion, how about watch my fucking TIFF video? Because I talked about it in like September. So let's see. I can do Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm. We'll talk about this one. All right. I'll be back though. I'll gotta pee. All right. Whew. All right. Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm. Where are my notes? They're on my laptop. Okay. I'm not going to have as much to say about this film. I enjoyed the Aqua Teen Hunger Force 2007 or whatever movie. That I felt like it was, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the television show. Yes, I washed my hands. Shut up. Sorry. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the television show, is something that its strengths are in its like kind of shitposty anti-humor nature, where it's kind of funny because it's not funny in a way, and the idea that they were even releasing a film and that it was in theaters also was kind of a part of the joke, and they treated the film like a joke. They treated the idea that they were making a movie as part of the joke, and so this one, instead of a film in theaters, this one's direct to streaming, post COVID. So it's kind of difficult to get things in theaters in the same way. But it really felt like, even despite that limitation, they could have done something a bit better with it. I was enjoying it for the first however long. I'm not going to talk about what region I'm in. Thank you. Sorry. I was enjoying it for the first however long, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and it's not like a huge runtime for the film. Let's see. Let's just check out what the runtime was. Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm 2022. Runtime was 1 hour 19 minutes, so not that long. And I don't know, like I guess the last Aqua Teen thing they did was in 2007, so it's been a while. Voice acting, not bad, always kind of fun. And I guess everything was working out fine until they added in a character that I guess was supposed to be kind of like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or something. Yeah, I guess he was supposed to be Jeff Bezos. He was just a parody of like modern day rich person. And he was like a short guy. And it was like, unfortunately, like, although those characters should be ripe for parody, it just wasn't funny. Like, the character was just annoying, and they thought that, like, oh, the fact that he's annoying is part of the humor. But it wasn't annoying in like kind of a self-aware way. It was just really lame, and it as soon as this was a character on screen, I was just not having fun anymore. And then I was like, oh, I hope it's not like the whole movie that I hope they're not doing dialogue for like most of the movie. And then they were. And I was like, fuck, god damn it. Like, the first 20 minutes of the movie was great. And then, yeah, they were doing this weird thing with, what are the pixel characters called? I forget what they're called. And they were just kind of doing like an obligatory reference to them. And they just kept doing the same like joke over and over, where it was like, oh, we paused the movie. That's right, we paused the movie. And it was just like, okay, but they kept doing, like, it would have been fine once, and they kept doing it. And it just wasn't funny. It doesn't, the problem with this film is that it did not work towards its own strengths. It, again, first 20 minutes, perfectly enjoyable, where it was just doing shitposty Aqua Teen stuff. But unlike the first film, unlike Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theaters, unlike that film, this one was trying to have more of like a follow-through narrative, like a standard plot. And it was trying to like hit the beats of like a regular movie, which is already in the wrong direction. Like, its strengths are in its shitposty nature. Its strengths are in the fact that it shouldn't take itself seriously in this sense, and it shouldn't be trying to do these traditional, narratives with with that kind of structure, and especially with those characters that were just too annoying. It was also trying to be way too topical. Like, it forgot what Aqua Teen Hunger Force was. It was injecting a lot of political, social commentary, and that's not inherently a bad thing. South Park does it very well, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force is not South Park, and it was trying to be South Park for a lot of the film and failing. So that was just disappointing. It wasn't the most painful experience. Unlike Avatar: The Way of Water, it was over in an hour and 19 minutes, and it wasn't a huge commitment. And again, first 20 minutes were fun. So crossing that one off the list, I'm giving Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm a 4 out of 10. So there's Pinocchio movies that I might just not do as a part of this, and I might just do as like a casual quickie thing, because I think I'd rather have like a different, but there's still a bunch of movies that I can go through. So let's do... All right, there's a film called The Strange Thing about the Johnsons, directed by Ari Aster. It's 28 minutes long. It is a short film. And here, like, you can tell, I knew that this was coming in the comment section of, like, oh God, everybody's like so scared of it. But like, I don't know if I'm just like desensitized to like weird shit. Like, it's a little disturbing, but it just wasn't, it didn't blow me away. Like, I was kind of disappointed because of like how notorious this film is. It's not a new Ari Aster. It's before he started making movies. This was a short film. Where I guess I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it's like a weird sex, it's a taboo, uncommon sex thing between characters that should not be in a relationship with each other, basically. But that was it. And I was just like, okay, but it didn't really go too far with that. It was just kind of like inherently disturbing from the subject matter, but didn't really push the envelope so far to like. It was just, yeah, it was just kind of like once you get over like the initial shock of, I don't know, what you could just read off of the Wikipedia plot summary, then it kind of just continues going along like that for 28 minutes. Yeah, it was just shock value, and it's fine for a short film, especially before his regular features. It's not a bad movie at all. It's not poorly made. There's some good performances in it. I just, by the end of it, it didn't feel like it lived up to the reactions that people give it. Maybe everyone's just a child. Everybody needs to just, I don't know, get desensitized. Get on my level where nothing fucking phases you anymore. Yeah, I just like, yeah, I'm just not. It's one of those like, I don't care, whatever. Yeah, not too much to say about this film. I saw it, 6 out of 10. Not a bad movie. It was decently shot, pretty good for a short. I'm glad he did more with his career. I'm glad he turned into doing cooler things. Okay, I'm gonna ban you. You're stupid. Bye. Hold on. Yeah, I've got an itchy ban trigger. Hold on. Bye. All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't even care. When someone goes out of their way to like misinterpret what I'm saying, then yeah, I'm just not. You're not staying on the channel. All right. So Strange Things About the Johnson is done. Johnson's is done. Yeah, I don't care. I'm past that point in my life. I used to be all like, oh, everyone's arguing in good faith, but now, no. After doing this for like 12 years, it's just not possible to feel that way. All right. Let's see. Got my notes open for. Oh, yeah. Bardo. Here we go. No, I haven't watched the menu yet, so. Okay. I need to find the full title here. It's kind of a mouthful. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I'll talk about Bones and all, don't worry. So the new Alejandro González Iñárritu film, Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths. Kind of as much of a mouthful of a title as Birdman was. Same director. I forget what it was, like Birdman, or the something of something. I don't remember, but this is his worst received film since Beautiful, which is a film that I really enjoyed. I really loved Beautiful. I thought it was like brutal, and I love something that gets like fucking depressing as fuck and like doesn't hold back. Love Birdman. I recently talked about The Revenant on the podcast, and it was better than I remembered it. I was so happy to rewatch that. So happy there was a 4K Blu-ray for it. This seems to be, out of all the films that I've seen from him, and I've seen like, I think all of them, this seems to be his most like self-indulgent film. And that seems to be where most of the criticism is coming from, where it almost seems like it's looking back on himself to such a degree where it seems like it's kind of like masturbatory. And it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Although I will say there's like parts in the middle where it does kind of like drag on a bit. It is 2 hours and 39 minutes long, and it's very kind of like meditative and expressive, where it seems like it's almost trying to be like a Jodorowsky film, Alejandro Jodorowsky, the director of The Holy Mountain and El Topo and etc. It seems like it's trying to emulate that, but not quite. It seems like it's simultaneously trying to emulate like Pedro Almodovar in, certain aspects of the tone. It seems like it's trying to emulate Terrence Malick at points in certain aspects of like A, the cinematography, and B, the, I guess, like atypical narrative presentation. It seems like it's trying to emulate Roy Anderson at times, the director of Songs from the Seventh Floor and You the Living and A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting Its Own Existence. Again, kind of weird titles, but Roy Anderson's really cool. Anyway, it's weird because it's simultaneously his most self-indulgent masturbatory film that's all about himself, but it's also simultaneously like trying to be other styles at the same time. That is not what I'm used to from him. So it felt the least like a movie from him while also being the most like about him. So it was kind of weird in a way. It looked fucking fantastic. Obviously, he's always great with cinematography. There was a lot of really cool shots, a lot of really cool sequences. And without spoiling anything, I'll say at least that it wound up... It's something that I feel like I'll have a better, possibly better experience with on a second watch, because by the end of it, it justifies its choices, even though it takes a long time to get to the end of it. So there's a good chunk of people that might just be so impatient with it that they don't care even by the end of it how it's justified. But I like that it got there, and I like that I'll be able to watch it a second time with a bit more context as to what it's going for, because by the end of it, it really clicks, and it's just like, okay, I get it. I get what you're doing, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's very ambitious, it's very expressive, it's very experimental. I was prepared for a long film, so I didn't feel the length too hard, so yeah, when you're going to watch this movie, make sure that you know it's 2 hours and 39 minutes long and that it's kind of a weird movie. Don't go in expecting like an hour and 20-minute film, or else it's going to feel way too long. There's some fantastic sound design choices. He's usually great with sound design, aside from like just some parts where it's clear that certain lines were dubbed. I don't know why. That happened in The Revenant. It happened in this movie. It wasn't a lot of lines, but it was noticeable at points. It is a movie that is at times frustrating and at times fascinating. I respect and appreciate it a lot. And I also can understand why people just didn't have the patience for it. There's a lot of people that just didn't like it. So I'm glad I watched it. It looked great for the most part. There were some really fantastic scenes, although it did feel bloated at points. There are some scenes that were uninteresting and a little bit difficult for me to attach onto the characters. I feel like it got better as it went along. Yeah, it is the least accessible Iñárritu film, I feel. And I don't know how many people will actually get to the end of it in order to, see the film justify its choices. Let's see. I'm just reading my notes here. It is substantive and has some interesting things to say, but with varying degrees of subtlety or effectiveness in how it's communicated. So there's some scenes that work better than others in terms of like the style servicing what it's doing narratively, or what it's, how it's communicating things. Yeah, I prefer his darker films. I prefer the brutally toned films. I love The Revenant. Birdman was still also like had a good sense of humor, but it was also kind of dark. Is there anything else that I missed here? Yeah, it is self-indulgent, but I'll have to see exactly how I feel about it on a second watch. For now, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I don't know if it's like riding an 8 yet. We'll see if I change my rating the second time I watch it, because there is a lot that I liked about it. But I have a funny feeling that like even with the added context, like maybe I'm not gonna be like fully into it. But I do appreciate a lot about it. I love what it was saying. And, again, varying degrees of how effective it was in terms of how it said things. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, kind of Lynchian. I don't know. Kind of. I felt, I felt more Jodorowsky than Lynch, for sure. All right, next movie. Bardo, more like Birdo, more like Barfo. Give me a second here. Ugh. Okay. Let's see. Should we do Bones and All? Let's do that. That's something I saw recently. I guess the title has the word and not an ampersand, so I guess I'll change it. Bones and All, directed by Luca Guadagnino. Let's see. This is his first film since Suspiria? His first full feature since Suspiria. I still haven't seen We Are Who We Are, which is apparently a really good series from him. There's 8 episodes that he directed, I think. I loved Suspiria, even though I felt like it could have been trimmed down a bit, but I still loved it. Call Me By Your Name was awesome. I Am Love, I really loved. And let's see, A Bigger Splash I enjoyed, even though not really like being in love with it. And then everything before I Am Love I haven't seen. So this movie has Timothée Chalamet and Taylor Russell, who I wasn't really familiar with. Oh, she was in Waves. Okay, cool. Yeah, she played the sister in Waves. Yeah. Okay, 2 good movies from this girl, and she was great in both. The performances were really great. It was kind of weird to see Timothée Chalamet do like a kind of Southern accent, and I'm not sure it was like entirely consistent throughout the whole movie, but like for the most part, I would say he did a really good job. Let's see, Bones. Looking for my notes. Yeah, I ordered there was a 4K release of Waves in Japan. So I ordered that. But yeah, can't get it anywhere else for some reason. Yeah, Bones and All, 2 hours and 11 minutes long. So much like his Suspiria remake, I felt like this could have been trimmed down, although it wasn't like so much. Like maybe at least 10 minutes of the movie could have been trimmed out of this one. I don't know how to describe what this movie is without kind of spoiling it. Let's just say it is not... It's a weird fucking movie, and it's kind of squeamish and kind of a horror movie, but also kind of not. It's like a romance movie and a drama movie, but it's also kind of a horror movie. And there's really kind of fucked up things that happen in it. There's gore. There's gore in the movie. And so if you're like someone who gets like squeamish at gore and like nauseous, then I don't know. Like this movie does it really well. And there's some sound design that's just like absolutely like, ooh. And it's an interesting universe that they created. It's like a fictional kind of universe sort of thing. It has its own rules, which I like. A story creating a universe with, specific rules that it can follow. It's really bizarre and fucked up. I thought that the music was fantastic. I thought the music was really great. Some really interesting sounds at points. Great sound design in general. I found out during the credits that the score was composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So, no shit, it sounded good. They, didn't even know that going into it. Yeah, it's well written. There's points with really natural dialogue. Yeah, they did Bird Box and they didn't even fucking try on Bird Box. Bird Box was their poop out of score. Anyway. Everything else, most of what they've done is great. Very natural dialogue, very natural ways that characters speak to each other. I wasn't sure if it was like necessarily the script or just how it was directed. It kept my attention for the vast majority of it. There's some parts like kind of near the end where I was like not fully into it and started thinking about other things. I'll definitely watch it again. It's definitely on my short list for 2022, as in something that could make my list. But we'll see how I feel about it on a second watch. But yeah, it's very difficult for me to get a genuine reaction out of films that are trying to be disturbing. And this definitely got me. I was like, whoa, like got a real reaction out of like several scenes in this film. So yeah, very successful at being disturbing when it was trying to be. There's some great editing, some interesting choices at points, and yeah, some really cool stuff. But we'll see. It's not perfect. Not a perfect movie. Definitely kept my attention. It was really cool. 7 out of 10, closer to an 8 than a 6. And we'll see if that makes the list or not later. All right, we did Bones and all. I watched Cats and Dogs, and it was not for a commentary recording. And I watched it for the first time because my boyfriend, it was a movie from like when he was younger, and he was like hyping it up like, oh, hell yeah, this movie. But also kind of nostalgic. And so like, yeah, I think part of him understands like it's like a kind of like a bad movie in ways. It's not that bad for like the type of movie that it's trying to be. It is still like in that weird uncanny valley part of 2001 CG animation where they used like real animals, but they just like CG'd their mouth moving, and it was just like, fuck off. Like, it's just so annoying. Just don't even have the mouth move. However, I was kind of impressed by the fact that they did a variety of different practical effects techniques and mixed it with the computer animation. So there were some parts where like they just had like an entire, like the villain would be like entirely like a puppet in some scenes. And so it was nice to see them like switch between practical and animation depending on the shot. It weirdly, and I wasn't expecting this at all, it weirdly felt like there was like a good amount of like thought going into the effects work in this film, even though it didn't always work, even though it didn't always look great. There was some coordination, and it was like properly storyboarded and properly planned out in terms of how they were going to do it and what happened. And again, it didn't look great for most of it, but I was happy that there was like a variety of different ways to achieve the effects in the film. And yeah, some parts were stupid. Wasn't amazing. What did I give this movie? 4 out of 10? Yeah. So about as good as Avatar 2. I haven't seen Howard the Duck yet. So yeah, Cats and Dogs, 4 out of 10. It was a little bit better than like a typical kids movie, I think. I don't know. I think the typical kids movie is like worse than a 4 out of 10. Let's see. Let's see if I have my notes for this. But I definitely watched it without providing a review for it, so it's on the list. I watched Shin Ultraman, and I had no idea about anything related to Ultraman before this. So, yeah, really unfamiliar with the franchise. But I had watched Shin Godzilla, and Shin Godzilla is definitely one of the better Godzilla movies. I rewatched Shin Godzilla that night too, and I liked it more than I watched the first time. However, we had like a really weird. The subtitles were not like very accurate, but it was like fun. I loved what they did with the effects in Shin Godzilla. And yeah, most Godzilla movies are kind of shit. Most Godzilla movies are like bad. Like even the originals. Like I know that's like not something you're supposed to say, but like it's really just like it's so boring. Yeah, hold on. Okay. I'll respond to the super chats at the end. But Glass Onion, you can watch my TIFF 2022 video, and I have an entire review of that there, just in case you want to see it. Anyway, let's see if I have my Shin Ultraman notes on my phone. Do I not? Uh-oh. Okay, I didn't really take notes, so I'm just going to give you the gist of what I remember about it. It was cheesy, and there was some weird shit that happened like near the first half of the movie was a lot more enjoyable than the second half. I felt like it kind of like lost its sense of structure and pacing in the second half and was just kind of dicking around, almost doing like random things. Kind of got too long, and it kind of took itself a bit too seriously, like closer to the end. There was some cool stuff going on with like how they incorporated the set design, I guess, even though most of it was like kind of computer animated near the end. But yeah, like it was, there was some cool effects work and some parts were fun and silly. It was not a bad movie to like watch with some friends and some drinks. All right, that's the end of my espresso martini. And yeah, I guess I'm not going to have any more caffeine. All right, that's it for Shin Ultraman for now. All right, I've got a lot of notes for... Oh, wait, yeah, this isn't even the full title. Hold on. The Lord of the Rings of Power. Like, cringe. Absolute cringe here. This cringe show, how many of those and how many thes and ofs? The Lord of the Rings of Power. What a fucking shit title. What an awful title. So bad. What a woke title. Yeah, so if all of you, I don't know why it's screen tearing. I just noticed that one. It was so annoying. Fuck. Whatever. Sorry, we're just going to have to live with it. So anybody who hasn't seen the clip of me ruining Gael's life, I'm going to send the link in the chat right now, and I'm going to go pee and grab a drink. So you can watch that. You'll have the context from when I come back. So here you go. Here is the link to part of the watch along. It has spoilers. I guess I'll put spoilers in the text here. I don't think it matters that there's spoilers because the whole show's shit, but whatever. So I'll be right back. Feel free to watch that clip. I'm going to grab a beverage of some kind and yeah, watch the clip. Watch the clip. I'm going to put the link in the chat again. I'll be right back. Hello, Joe. Yeah, it was a fun clip. All right. Got some neutral vodka seltzer. They call it seltzer in the United States, not soda water. I thought it was a different thing. I thought seltzer and soda water were two different things. But I'm in the U.S. right now, and they call it seltzer. It's just the same. I put a lot of ice in here, so I'm gonna wait for it to. Sparkling water. Doesn't really sparkle. That's not what a sparkle is. Stupid. Idiot. Okay, well, I'll watch RRR closer to the Oscar season when I release a video, and I'll review the movies, and I'll probably not finish half of them because it's fucking Oscar movies. So, yeah, that's my plan. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish RRR. Maybe if I did a watch along, I'll finish it. Maybe that would be the context. Oh, fuck. Did I spill a tiny bit? It felt like it was nowhere even near the rim, but because of how the ice was, I'll just be 1 second. It like went over the lip because of the ice. The ice did this to me. I only spilled a tiny drop, so hold on. I'm just being responsible. All right. There's a real Pacific Rim. BP contenders, best picture. I just don't want the Fablemans to win best picture. That would be annoying. They might give him best director, which would also be annoying, but it might happen. It was kind of shit. All right, Rings of Power. So I'm going to open up my notes here. Boop. All right. So I have a shit ton of notes for Rings of Power, and I started typing them. I was giving general notes until about episode 4 when it was specific to the episode. Rory Kinnear. Who was he? What was he in? Okay. I love Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings. I think it's awesome. Oh, he was. Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, that he was in Men. You're right. I was getting I heard Rory Kinnear, and I was getting him confused with Rory Culkin, who is a Culkin, and not Rory Kinnear. Sorry. Thank you. I should watch the commentary track to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Thank you for the super chat, Johnny. I appreciate it. I'll read all of the super chats at the end. Okay. So Rings of Power is so annoying and embarrassing and bullshit. It is absolutely depressing and baffling how a major studio like Amazon Prime Video can spend $1 billion on like what, 5 seasons or something of this show, and they think that just throwing money at something will work. They think that just throwing money at it will inherently make it successful, and that people will enjoy it because it's attached to a property that people already enjoy, and they'll be successful because of that. But they gave this to 2 showrunners who had never created like anything notable ever. They literally gave this to like 2 people who had no fucking idea what they were doing. So I did a watch along to this with Gael, who's a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, and if you watched the clip, that's one of the best parts of it. You can watch along. If you've never seen the show before, you can watch along to the whole thing. Experience the cringe with us on the YMS Watch-Alongs channel. Just search YMS Watch-Alongs in YouTube, or look in the description to any one of my published non-live stream videos on this channel, and you'll see it in the description. And the theme of the word that we said the most throughout the entire 8-episode watch along, and we watched every episode all the way through, the word that we said the most, other than, I don't know, the or I, the verb that we said the most, is it verb? Adjective. Sorry, the adjective that we said the most is unearned. It was every single thing that happened in the show was like it was trying to emulate something that already existed in the Jackson original trilogy. But it forgot to. So imagine the climax to a scene in a Jackson trilogy, or a powerful moment in the Jackson trilogy. You would get parts that are clearly emulating that, but they forgot to take all the steps to get there and make it so that those parts were effective. So they looked at the Jackson trilogy and they looked at individual moments, snapshots from it on such a reductive surface level that they didn't seem to realize that those parts only worked in the Jackson trilogy because of everything building up to it, because of all of the elements and pieces of the puzzle that were helping to build up that moment. They only saw the moment in of itself and thought that they could replicate it by just showing that sort of moment again. But they forgot all of the fucking ingredients. They forgot everything to get those moments to where they needed to be. So you would hear these, there would be like a character death, but it's just like, oh, this person just got introduced in this episode. We don't give a shit about them. And they would treat it like this huge, like serious thing, like, oh, like dying in my arms or whatever. And it's just like, you didn't earn that. Like you can't, and it treated it, the music and like how they're presenting it, it treated it as if we were supposed to care about this happening, but it didn't do anything to earn the audience's respect or attention or emotions in that sense. And so, and as we were going throughout the series, as you're going episode over episode over episode, it was like so abundantly clear that all of these characters that we were introduced to were just imitations of characters from the Jackson trilogy, where you're like, oh, the girl hobbit is obviously Frodo. Her fat friend is obviously supposed to be Sam. These 2 characters are, supposed to be Merry and Pippin. These, like, the fucking dwarf character is obviously supposed to be Gimli, but everything's just worse. This character is supposed to be Aragorn. This character is supposed to be Arwen. And it's just like fucking so annoying when like they can't seem to just create something And they don't even necessarily have to because they're working with a pre-existing universe, but there's so much more that they could explore from the universe, and they just decide not to. They instead decide to try and rehash and recite and reference, I guess, parts of the Jackson trilogy and pass it off as though it's a new thing. And again, the expectation is that we're supposed to feel the same emotions as we did in the Jackson trilogy, but it forgot how to earn its way there. It forgot how to set things up in a way where it mattered, or, you know, where anybody cared about what was happening. And so it's just so fucking tedious and embarrassing and disrespectful towards its audience. It's disgusting. It's long. Nothing happens. You know, Gael was thinking like, oh, well, what if it's just the first few episodes that are slow? I'm like, I got a funny feeling that this is going to be the whole show. So he was a bit disappointed. They obviously retconned a bunch of shit. He's a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, and he died inside. Let's see what else we got here. I'd have a couple. Oh yeah, they had some songs in it that were just like really clearly auto-tuned. That was annoying. The songs that they put in the show were also unearned in terms of how they were used. The sequences and these sort of like, oh, we're going into battle and blah, 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 blah. All of these moments where you're like, okay, this is obviously supposed to be like when Gandalf rode over the hill and blah, 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 blah. And again, it was just like, I don't feel anything similar. Like, you're insisting that I should, but I don't. You didn't earn it. You didn't fucking earn it. It was, oh God, that Mordor title. Wow, dude, Mordor, dude. It was just, it was absolutely disgusting. They really did that. The fourth wall fucking break. That was so annoying. Oh yeah, the fight scenes were clumsy. It didn't have the same composer. Didn't have the same composer as the original Lord of the Rings, except in the title sequences. So who was that? Howie Shore? Looking for the Wikipedia. Just want to make sure that I'm saying. Sometimes I just forget things. Film? Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, movies, film series. There we go. Howard Shore, yes. Okay, so he composed the original Jackson trilogy, and those fucking melodies, those themes are so fucking iconic. You know, got them fucking memorized. I can just like play them from memory. Like, I'm not gonna do it. Also, my roommate might be trying to sleep soon, so I'm just gonna not do that. But yeah, like they're so memorable. Like and then it goes into another theme, like the Shire theme, like oh yeah, I shouldn't do that on YouTube. Fuck. God damn it. You're right. I shouldn't do that on YouTube. I don't want to get copyright claimed. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Howard Shore is ever going to make a score like that that's as iconic and memorable and purposeful and works so well in the film. And then, yeah, they just got like Buttfuck McNobody, who's done a decent job at composing some video game scores, but hasn't really done a decent job at like film or television, from what I can tell. He did like the God of War games, which have fine music, but nothing like so memorable. Like you play through the games and you're like, oh, the music's good. And you like the sounds, but it's like, I don't remember a melody from God of War. I don't remember a melody. So you're missing something iconic. And then they had Howard Shore compose the opening title sequence. And that's the only part of the show where it's like, oh, this feels like Lord of the Rings, is the opening title sequence, because you have the music, you have the same composer. And even despite all of the money that they spent on this show, they didn't get him to score the show. They just got Buttfuck McNobody from God of War. Yeah, I don't care if it got an award for the score. He doesn't compare, okay? I'm not saying he's a bad composer. I'm saying he doesn't compare, and it's embarrassing, right? In a vacuum, you could say that parts of The Lord of the Rings of Power, are not like the worst thing in the world. But comparatively to what they're trying to emulate and the emotions that they're trying to capture from the existing properties, it's embarrassing and it's not comparable. And it's it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Yeah, they had some characters like there were these like hot topic manager characters or something, these like weird like pale people in makeup, and they're like, "Oh, this is serious. They're going to kill us." But they showed up in the episode that they defeat them. And when they defeat them, it's like it acted like, "Yes, yes, we did it." Like it was like this whole thing that was like been built up for like the whole season, but it's like they just showed up. They just showed up and you killed them. They just showed up and you killed them, and that's it. And I don't like it, again, unearned. It doesn't feel like anything was accomplished. But the score and the presentation, everything that they're implying is suggesting that we're supposed to feel that way, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work. All right. And I'm giving The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, I'm giving that a 3 out of 10. Whew. What a shit show. It's a shit show. Remember when Death Grips posted their video to shit show on YouTube and YouTube banned it? YouTube's banned like a couple of their music videos, which really goes to show that they're not serious when they say that music videos are an exception to some of their terms of service monetization rules. It's only music videos from like Universal Music Group is what they actually mean. Go fuck yourselves, YouTube. 3 out of 10. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair rating for the show. Obviously, I wouldn't rate it if I didn't think it was that fair. Let's see if I have my notes for. Okay. My brother was texting me. One second. Okay. My brother wants to play some Halo Infinite after, which is, speaking of, people making properties that are trying to capture the feelings of a previous property and just failing miserably. Yeah. 343 Industries is fucking bullshit. But I'm enjoying playing it with him. Anyway, I did Bardo already, so you can just press rewind on the video if you want to see that. And you'll see the title right here. You'll know exactly where to stop. All right, we're going to do I have my notes for this one? I wrote this. So I gave this one a rating. This was very funny. Yeah, okay. I have a couple notes for this. It's not like a detailed thing. There's a fucking movie that was free on the Air Canada flight from Vancouver to Montreal, I think. And I was on this flight with my boyfriend. And he's like kind of new to the whole Canada thing because he's very much American. And this shit movie, it was like a documentary called Being Canadian. And he was like, he had to put that on, obviously, because it was just the stupidest thing to just show up on an Air Canada flight that you can click on. And it was this like hour and a half long movie that pretended to be a documentary. Did I do Euphoria season 2? I think I mentioned it on Sardonicast. I didn't do a full review of it. I think I mentioned it on Sardinicast. I'll add that, actually. I think I have one thing to say about it. Yeah, there we go. Being Canadian. And it was like basically a movie that just explained all of like the tropes and stereotypes, but it was also interviewing people of just like, what do you think of when you think Canada? It would just interview Americans. They're like, snow, apologizing, and just stuff like that. And then it'd be like, yo, Canadians are known for these things, and most of it's kind of true. And here's some Canadian celebrities that maybe you didn't know were Canadian. We've got Mike Myers. We've got Seth Rogen. And it's just like, and then it also like not only did that, but it also like went into how that is also a stereotype. It's like, well, Canadians love to talk about how there's a lot of celebrities that are actually Canadian that you didn't know were actually Canadian, like James Cameron's Canadian. So like interview all these like Canadian celebrities. They'd be like, what do you think? Are you like apologizing all the time? They'd be like, I also apologize. This is kind of a true stereotype. And like the whole movie was like this, and I was just like, oh god. And so it was like kind of embarrassing, kind of true also. You know, it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, you know, you gotta, it's just like, it's a true movie. I don't know where to fucking find this movie other than on Air Canada flights. So if you're on an Air Canada flight, you might find this movie on the fucking, on the list of movies there. But yeah, so what do I have in my notes? Somewhat self-aware, but also obnoxious and annoying. Especially, oh yeah, by the end of the movie, it was like, it did that fucking, like, there's this thing that all really amateur documentaries do, is they kind of just dick around forever and then realize by the end of the movie, like, oh, we're supposed to have like a through line. We're supposed to like try and make a story out of this, like a narrative documentary, even though they weren't doing that the entire time. So they were just literally, the entire movie was just like interviews of like Canadian stereotypes and everything. And then by the end of the movie, it was just like, but Canada's Day is coming up, and I still haven't figured out what it means to be Canadian. And so then it got like, you know, the interviewer was like the main character, like, now there's a ticking time bomb because Canada Day is coming up, and I'm almost at the end of my tour, and I don't even know what it means to be Canadian. Like, you're just making this shit up. You can pull this shit out of your ass. You could just say, oh, here's what it means to be Canadian, which is what you wind up doing anyway. But the fact that you're artificially creating this sense of urgency and trying to make it like, oh, now it's an exciting narrative. It's like, fuck off. This is just a shit documentary. It's so stupid. But it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't the worst thing ever, but something that they did not address, which was like not very self-aware at all, actually, is like, oh yeah, a lot of Canadian stereotypes, and a lot of it was like kind of self-aware, but the fact that they did not even address, they completely fucking ignored the Northwest Territories. So like Nunavut, Yukon, Northwest Territories, like just pretended they didn't exist. Like, fuck, come on. Like, you're going to do that? Like, that's also kind of a stereotype, but you're not even going to acknowledge it in a self-aware way. Like, that's not a part of Canada. Go fuck yourself. Just like, yeah, there's less of a population there, but you'd think that if you're making a documentary, where you're like trying to represent a population of like a country, like that's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like fucking racist, isn't it? Like, it's kind of shit, you know? We're only talking about like the most American Canadians. Like, we're going to ignore the rest of them. So anyway, yeah. Fucking, yeah, it was kind of shit. I give it a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 movie. Wouldn't have watched it if my boyfriend didn't put it on. He was kind of laughing at it and me during it, and that was kind of fun. Let's see, here we go. We got Vortex, a film by Gaspar Noé. I'm not doing it. Sorry, I should mention in the chat, I'm not doing a quickie for Old or Saw because I'm doing a larger review on those. So this is for movies that I should have done quickies for, but I didn't. Those are ones that I'm doing larger reviews on. I know it's taking forever. Life's hitting me hard. I just did a big move. Everything took longer than it should have. I'm still working on The Lion King Part 2. I'm still doing my fucking 2016 list. There's a bunch of fucking projects. I'm trying my best. There's also another, one that I can't talk about that I would like to do, that I'm trying to do. Anyway, yes, I saw Glass Onion. It is in my TIFF 2022 video that I posted months ago. Thank you. All right, Vortex. Where are my notes for Vortex? Let's see. All right. So there's some people that watched Vortex and fucking loved it. And I love Gaspar Noé, but I love the most Gaspar Noé films of his. And this was the least Gaspar Noé film that I've seen from him. This was the least like his other movies. And it wasn't like inherently like a bad movie or anything, but everything that I was excited to see, I didn't get out of it. And if let's say it was just so masterful in how it presented itself and what it was communicating and like the narrative, emotional experience that I got out of it, if it was like, let's say like he just made a fucking Michelle Haneke film and it was just like, oh wow, yeah, this isn't Gaspar Noé, but I still love it. That would have been dope. But this felt like he was trying to make a Michelle Haneke film. This felt like a discount Amour. It was the same story also. Like Amour's the better film. It came out 10 years before, almost 10 years before. What was Amour? Was it 2013? Like 8 years before. 2012. Yeah, 9 years before. Almost 10 years. Yeah, Vortex, like, if I had not seen... So Gaspar Noé, I've seen, like, most of his films. Interesting director. He has some hits, some misses. And his misses, even if they're misses, are at least, like, kind of interesting. They're like, oh, wow, you did something kind of different, I guess. Lux Eterna was a film that I had watched. I would consider that a miss. It's 51 minutes long, so just barely feature length. Thank you so much. I'll respond to all the super chats at the end. It's barely feature length. And Lux Eterna already does okay, we're going to do 2 square kind of like box shots next to each other on a wide screen. And we're just going to show 2. So have you ever seen... there's a movie called Conversations with Other Women. And if you watch the correct version of that, so the theatrical version, not the made-for-TV version, what you get is 2 shots playing simultaneously throughout the entire film. And it's really interesting how they do that. So they did that in, like, I don't know, 2006? 2006 or something? 2005 maybe? And then Gaspar Noé does it for his film Lux Eterna in 2019. And then he does it again for Vortex. And I'm like, okay, not only have I seen this done before several times, I've also seen Gaspar Noé do it before. By the way, do not watch Vortex if you have epilepsy. It is the most headachy, epileptic movie you could ever possibly watch ever of all time. In fact, don't see most of Gaspar Noé films if you have epilepsy. I'm sorry. You can't watch his movies. Particularly Lux Eterna. Literally, you'll have a seizure, guaranteed. If you like, I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't even say it. I'm not going to phrase it that way. All right. Don't avoid Gaspar Noé if you're epileptic, and if you show an epileptic person a Gaspar Noé film, you should go to jail if you're willingly doing that. So, Vortex is his least trippy film. It's his least fun film. It's like kind of depressing, but it doesn't hit the right notes in terms of like it being depressing. Like, he makes some dark things sometimes, and I'm all there for it. I love fucking brutal, like uncompromising, like, oh shit, that's dark. Like there's some shit, like Kid and Climax and like, you know, a lot of like weird fucked up shit. And this film, it like, in the points where it was trying to be dark, I don't feel like it was successful in how it presented itself and what it ultimately was. Much of it felt slow and pointless. Much of it felt silly in terms of like how repetitive it was and like what was going on in the film. And like, it didn't like successfully get me to care about the characters, and the acting wasn't great. The acting wasn't great from, fucking, what's his face, famous director, Dario Argento. Like, it was fine. The woman was great. His wife was great. Dario Argento was like fine, but not like what he needed to be for me. And again, like the atypical way that it's filmed, I'd seen it done before multiple times. I've seen Gaspar Noé do it multiple times. I've seen it done more interestingly the other time that Gaspar Noé did it. And it didn't feel like it utilized anything. It just felt like it was kind of doing it, and then like maybe there was a point to it at one point in the film, and then just the rest of it just like eh. Yeah, female lead was great. Argento's performance was very one note. I'm just reading my notes now. It was an attempt at being mature and personal. Didn't really live up to it for me. But you could see that the attempt was being made. Too much of it felt silly in terms of what she did in the film. The wife character, it felt very forced. It was just like, oh, okay, you're gonna have dementia more and just be annoying. I wasn't into it. I didn't care. I didn't get what I was supposed to emotionally out of it. I enjoyed the style to an extent. Could have been used more appropriately. It was painfully slow. It was not compelling in terms of story or characters. It was not nearly as raw, brutal, honest, or purposeful as Amour. And that sucked because I was thinking about Amour for much of it. Also, it was much worse than The Father, which is another dementia movie, which came out very recently. The style wasn't consistent. It wasn't methodical. It was kind of meh. 5 out of 10 for me for Vortex. Sorry to disappoint everybody. 5 out of 10 for me. Didn't love it. It's one of his misses for me. And again, his misses aren't the worst films ever, but it was a miss. If you want to see a great Gaspar Noé film, as long as you don't have epilepsy, you can watch any one of his great films. The Climax is probably my favorite. And then Enter the Void is awesome. And what's it called? Don't tell me. Irreversible is also amazing. Thank you. All right. What else we got? Oh, here's something that should piss some people off. Let's see if I have notes for this one. So there's a huge backlog of like classic films that I haven't seen. And if if like a 4K Blu-ray comes out of one, that's usually like a good excuse to try and discover it. And so the 1990 film Misery, which I had already seen a lot of in terms of pop culture references, it was like heavily referenced in things like The Simpsons and like other parody, like everybody knows what it eventually gets to. It's a classic story from Stephen King. And the entire time, I could understand why that was impactful to people in 1990, but it was really not to me. And basically, the entire movie is riding on, I'm not going to spoil it, I guess, but like the climax of the film. The entire movie is riding on that, which I already know is coming. And even if, so I can watch The Shining knowing what's coming, or sorry, The Sixth Sense, or anyone, like honestly, any classic movie that I love. I can watch it knowing what's coming. I can watch it having it ruined by pop culture even. And it's still a great movie because of how it's filmed and how it's presented. Misery is a poorly filmed movie. There's some good performances in it, but it is poorly shot. It is a poorly shot film. That is one of my biggest issues with it, is that it is terribly filmed. It is almost nothing but close shots. You never get a proper sense of scale for like the room. They don't utilize the room in the way that they could. Most of it is literally just in a bedroom. And I would have to imagine that, with the budget, with the name actors in the film, that they were filming on a set. But it really never felt like it. It really never felt like they were able to utilize the environment. It always felt like they were trapped in like the smallest room in the world. And at that point, it's like, okay, you should just film in a bigger room or get some wider angle lenses or something, right? It didn't feel intentionally claustrophobic in the way that like a Safdie Brothers film is, though. That's an interesting perspective, and that's like a valid perspective too. I'm not going to say that that's like objectively wrong or anything, but it really just felt like it was like there's a difference between something being claustrophobic and something just being poorly communicated. and I never felt like I ever got like a proper sense for the setting or a proper sense for the location. Let me read some of my notes here. Oh yeah, the music fucking sucked. So like the entire what's weird is like even watching this film knowing what's coming, I felt like I would have had such a better experience watching it if the music wasn't so fucking blatant and leaving no room for interpretation whatsoever. The music was like the most obvious fucking thing in the world, and it was explicitly telling you how you should feel about her character. Even though there's moments in the film where it's like, okay, she could be lying, there could be some room for interpretation about like what her motivations are or what type of person she is, if she's innocent, if she's evil. But the music was constantly expressing this is how you should feel, and this is the only way you should feel about this. And that fucking sucked for like a story that had so much more nuance to it than what was being presented in the film. Like if I were reading the book, it would be so much better than what the experience was in the film, because a lot of what I took issue with was just the presentation. Yeah, so yeah, there were a lot of fucking stupid, goofy, cliched moments where, like, you know, I could point out these things in Avatar. I could point out these things in A Quiet Place. Most of you agree with me. But if I point out these things in this film, a lot of people would be upset. I don't even have like a full memory of this film. One of my one of my notes is this. I don't even remember the context of this in the film because the movie was just so fucking forgettable that this is just like notes from April. So like half a year ago, 2/3 of a year ago. Yeah, let's see my notes here. Fucking rolling my eyes at the burst through the door in my wheelchair and immediately see the red pills sticking out of the closet bullshit. So I don't even remember that happening, but that apparently annoyed me. Here's another note. Fantastic conceptually, not great in execution. Could use a remake, TBH. Yeah, there's some stuff that gets better in the second half, obviously. Not just delivering on like the thing that's supposed to happen, but also just, you know, it being less of a chore to get through. I don't know what this note means because I forget the entire movie, and I didn't skip through it. I was watching it. My parents got me the Blu-ray for Christmas because it was on my gift list, the fucking 4K Blu-ray. We all watched it. And even my dad was like, he was excited to see it. He was like, oh, you never seen Misery? Oh, I remember this fondly. And then he watched it and he was like, fuck, this isn't as good as I remember it. And I wasn't even making comments about it. Like, he got there on his own. He was kind of like, this is like, it's ridiculously dated in terms of like how the story is presented and how obviously the film is communicating how you're supposed to feel about it. It's just fucking cheesy. It's cheesy as fuck. It really, like, it is, the story is so much mature than what the film is. And it's so sad. I would love to see a remake of this by someone competent. Like, fucking get Luca Guadagnino to make a Misery remake. I would watch that shit in a heartbeat. Because yeah, this is like, in terms of how it's presented in this film, aside from the actors, like, it's a really like immaturely presented film, and just sloppy and cheesy and just like just fucking lame, just really lame and just dated. Like, you feel the time period and you're like, even there's so many movies like fucking 10 years before that you had The Shining. It's like that never felt like immature and pathetic and sorry, like, just, it's just so, yeah, it's incompetent and not intelligent in how it's presented. So here's some more notes that I don't even remember the context to, because I've literally the entire movie's just gone from my head, aside from the shit that I already knew about it before going into it. Like, the entire thing is just gone, even though I watched it in April. Here's a note. LMFAO, you see the dents on the door there. Someone pulled him out, when the sheriff is saying he didn't crawl out of the car. That is very funny. If I remember that, yeah, the sheriff deducing that is very fucking stupid. Let's see. The acting starts out fine and gets much better as it goes along, much better after the 1 hour mark. This film is one of the best examples of the bias of a strong ending. Hasn't ended yet, but I can tell the ending will be strong. So that's a note that I took watching the movie. Other examples of the bias of a strong ending would include Precious, where like Monique is like, holy shit, like this is amazing performance, like, and like you really feel for her, like you're like trapped by like her emotions in the film, and everybody watches that, and you leave the theater being like, oh, even though most of the movie sucked. But if you have a really strong ending and people leave with that, then it can be like, oh, well, I was just checked out for most of the movie and I really enjoyed the end, so I must have enjoyed the first parts, even though I don't remember it much. This really feels like one of those. Not to discount other people's experiences, but this feels like, you know, the ending does have a significant impact on, you know, how people would feel about it. Let's see. It really does not capture the perspective of the discovery of the main character figuring out what's happening. Not much of a journey at all. He knows it's happening throughout most of the film, and there isn't much internal debate. Yeah, that's really, yeah, again, like it's not nuanced, and the story easily could be, but the film just treats it as though it's just like, oh, well, here's how you're supposed to feel about it. And then you don't learn anything throughout the entire movie because you start at like the 8. You go from like, oh, we're already like 80% of the way through what the character can discover about what's happening. And then you just stay there the whole movie and then gets to the 10 eventually. When you could start at like, I don't know, a 1, 2, and then like have some sort of more information developing throughout the course of the film so that we can like experience things with the character. Maybe there can be some sort of internal debate about like, oh, is she really there to help me? Is she really there to help me? I would love to ask that question and genuinely have the film communicate itself in a way where that could be a possibility, but it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And the music ruins this. The way it's presented ruins it. It's just it actively prevents itself from being an intelligent film. And so it's just really disappointing when it has every opportunity to be and every excuse to be, but it actively prevents itself from being that. Forbidden photo album of newspaper clippings that's just there. I don't even remember. Like, it's just so forgettable. It's just so boring. It's one of the most boring movies ever for me. Starts feeling great when the soundtrack kicks in at around 1 hour and 10 minutes. Lol. The lol is because I was obviously really bored for the first hour and 10 minutes, and then it starts feeling fun. And these are notes that I took down while I watched the movie. And again, I don't remember anything about the movie. So I'm like rediscovering it just reading these notes right now. Like when it first shows that he sees the newspaper clipping of his disappearance, it's so fucking terribly shot. We have no frame of reference for where he's seeing it, just nothing but close shots, awfully filmed. Yeah, so we don't even see where he's seeing the newspaper clipping of his disappearance. It's just like a close shot of it, and we get no perspective at all for like where it is in the scene or where it is in the space. Moonlight Sonata playing during one of the most pivotal scenes really carries the film. So yeah, that would be something where I felt something, but because it was just an existing classical song, a lot better than the fucking over-insistent cheesy-ass score throughout most of the movie. Let's see another note. It is a painfully simple movie that stretches itself out way longer than it needs to. It does not age well. Okay, apparently I liked the score to some degree. And again, I just don't remember it. It says, good score, feels fairly standard for the time, but it works well at least, minus obviously how insistent it is. Another note I wrote was, imagine what Hitchcock could have done with this. Give him the same concept and he could have created a masterpiece. Again, like, in concept, I like the film, what it could be. I wish I read the book instead of watching the movie. It just really fucking fails super hard at what it could have been. Another note, I can understand why this would be so impactful in a narrative sense for the time, but nowadays it feels so incredibly pedestrian. Another note, what a cringe plan, lol, assuming she'd be right under him to put out the fire, etc. Yeah, a lot of conveniences. Yeah, I remember that vaguely. Even during the last act of the film, which clearly carries the entire thing, the shots are way too close, so poorly filmed. If I forgot about the first half of the movie, I'd give it more than a 5. But as it is, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10, which I feel is pretty fucking generous for a movie that I don't even fucking remember, despite me attentively watching and being excited for. So yeah. Sorry about that, but pissing off everybody. It's what I do best. But you know you're getting someone authentic. You know, you can go to a bunch of other YouTube channels where people will pretend to have opinions that they don't just to appease, you know, what they think someone might want to hear about them. But you know you're getting the real deal with me. So even if you disagree with what I'm saying, at least you're getting something real. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can do, come on. Misery, misery, misery. That's what you've chosen. Out am I. Let's see. Come on. Who directed this? Come on. Did I play God of War, like the new one? I'm playing through it. I'll play more of it on Friday. Mike Mills directed this film. Have I seen any of his other films? So there's an A24 movie, kind of fucking indie. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, otherwise known as Joaquin Phoenix. It's got a baby actor, child actor named Woody Norman. Oh yeah, he directed Beginners, which I didn't love. I give it a 6, and I was like kind of all right about it. And then 20th Century Women. Let's see. Did I watch that movie? Okay. Also, again, 6 out of 10. So I gave 6 out of 10 to Beginners, 6 out of 10 to 20th Century Women. Come on. I seem to have enjoyed more, even though it didn't super stick with me. So it's shot in black and white. It's produced by A24. Again, I love Joaquin Phoenix. I think Joaquin Phoenix is fucking awesome. He's like one of my favorite actors. And so I'm going to read some of my notes because even though I didn't this film didn't super stick with me, I remember having a good time with it. I remember enjoying certain aspects of it. So I'm just going to read some of my notes here. Exceptional child performance, completely convincing as a character with some mildly unconvincing moments near the end, which if you've ever heard me talk about child performances, you'll know that that's a pretty fucking good compliment. It was last year. Well, fuck it. It was at the end of last year. I don't care. December 2021. I didn't talk about it in my other Quickie Catchup, did I? If I did, I don't think I talked about it, right? So I might as well be talking about it. Yeah, I did not talk about it. So you thought I did? Did I talk about it in the other one? Well, I'll just read through my notes. I don't give a shit. Great style and personality, very subtly versatile director, different tones and feels without being too drastically different. Clarinet heavy soundtrack with some nice piano in there as well. Very relatable and realistic characters, feels like an incredibly personal film, and much of it really connected with me. Overstayed its welcome by about 15 to 20 minutes. Started going through the same beats again, and I felt much less invested and interested in the final 30 minutes of the film. Could have used more of a climax. It is a very authentic feeling movie. All the performances were great. It's a film that is both light and heavy at the same time. 7 out of 10. All right. I did it last year? Well, whatever. Fuck it. All right. So I think I wrote down notes for Euphoria season 2 somewhere, but I might have not gone into detail about it on the podcast. I don't remember. We're going to find out. I talked about Bones and All earlier. Damn, the problem is I didn't take specific notes for Euphoria season 2. All I have to say about it, I'm going to change the text here. Oops. All I have to say about Euphoria season 2, really, is that I watched the entire, I guess, most of the first half of the season or whatever, being like, oh yeah, this is like a nice continuation of what was happening, and it didn't feel like, I knew some people were kind of disappointed by it. But then when it got into the last couple episodes and they were doing that play, and I don't even remember anything about the play, but I remember I was annoyed by it. And I remember it felt stupid. And I remember thinking what? Why would she? Oh yeah, it was like a high school play, and it had like the most insane production ever, and they never explained it. It was just like, what the fuck? Why is this it's like a weird Broadway thing, but you're not even like self aware about like how crazy it is. I didn't talk about the movie Mass. Okay, I should. I'll add Mass. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, the real takeaway from Euphoria season 2, I liked it for the most part, but like fuck, there was some cringe shit going on in the last couple episodes. Yeah. All right. I will talk about Mass. I enjoyed Mass. I watched it on a plane. I talked about Bones and All. You can rewind for that. I'm just gonna pee real quick. Hold on. Burp. Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. All right. Yes, I washed my hands. I'm gonna. Everybody always asks that. Like, yeah, when the bathroom's right there and I pee literally like a racehorse, then yeah, I'm quick. I still wash my hands. Okay. I didn't watch Ralph in the Multiverse, but I have Doctor Strange Multiverse on my list. Let's talk about Mass first. Mass 2021. So I guess I didn't talk about this last year, I think. I watched it March 29th of 2022. So yeah, I wouldn't have. Yeah, written and directed by Fran Kranz, and I have to assume, even without looking it up, there was probably a stage play. It's probably converted from a stage play. This is shit. He played the stoner in Cabin in the Woods. Wow, he directed that. Wow, that's so funny. I'm just learning this right now. So he's an actor, and this is his directorial debut. So this is actually even cooler than I thought. Literally, the stoner from Cabin in the Woods directed this movie, and it's like a very, very like sad, dialogue-driven, like kind of one-acty, like theatrical performance type of movie, like performance-driven. So here are my notes. I remember the subject matter. Like maybe don't look it up if you don't want to be spoiled about what the subject matter is, because like it kind of, as the film goes along, it like kind of reveals itself in like a so I would say go in blind. I'm gonna not spoil it, but it's a lot of dialogue. It's people talking in a room, and the dialogue is supernatural, not supernatural, but it is very natural. very natural performances in terms of like how they communicate with each other. There's like natural stutters in the dialogue, kind of how just I stuttered a little. There's like ums and like and so it gives the illusion that it's real people and not just someone who rehearsed lines and rehearsed it perfectly for the film. There's a lot of like subtlety in how the actors portray their emotions. It's very believable. There's like stress, there's grief, and you feel that these characters are experiencing those emotions. And so it like really, like great performance-driven movie. I think this got snubbed at the Oscars, didn't it? Yeah, this was a snub. This was like a fuck at least nominate for a screenplay like thing maybe. You know? Like what the fuck? There was some holy shit, yeah. This should have had like maybe an award nomination or something. It was nominated for a BAFTA. Yeah, here we go. So I time-stamped some things in case I decided to, review it. I had it 21:30 in my notes. If you care to, if you have a copy of the film and you're curious, I wrote at 21:30, there's great example of natural dialogue. It almost seems ad-libbed, but there's a good chance that it isn't. So there's a good chance that it's how it's written. Yeah, there's a character that finishes a sentence for someone else, but so she thinks she's finishing his sentence, but she says the opposite, and he just kind of like agrees to it, but momentarily shakes his head as though he's about to say more, but he doesn't. Right? So we see through the performance of one character, like the physical performance of one character, that he thinks something else other than what he said or what he's saying. And so he's like, you can see a moment where he's like almost wanting to interject, but then he decides he shouldn't. He's like, and like, that's such a specific thing to capture. And it was done in such a natural way. And so there's moments like that where you can like look at it and study it and be like, wow, damn, that's like really well captured. And it's like a really, interestingly directed film, very small scale, but very like personal and nice. There's great defined characters. It feels like they're real people with real depth. There's one character, one of the father characters, that feels a little bit too on the nose and cliched. His responses are sometimes a bit too predictable, and that's like, I guess, one of the things that drags the film down a little bit is like one of the characters is kind of like a little bit like not as much of a real person. It's like kind of a predictable thing. Let's see. I wrote down the first half of the film is slow at points, but the second half is fantastic. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's like really interesting and purposeful choices in the cinematography in terms of like differentiating between like handheld and stationary, and it's like a thematic, like purposeful kind of thing that I really liked. There's parts of this film that are legitimately profound. The female lead performance is amazing, and it is very much worth watching all the way through. And really only one character I felt didn't work, and it dragged it down a bit. It made the movie like it's not an adaptation of a play. Well, shit. Okay, never mind. It feels like one. Anyway, Mass 2021. Great movie. I'll definitely watch it again. It'll probably wind up on my 2021 list. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10, closer to an 8 than a 6, and we'll see how I feel about it in a second watch. Again, only one real thing that kind of drags it down. Just one of the characters feels like more of a product of the script than a real person, but every other character feels like, oh shit, like a real, like defined, real, fleshed out, like genuine character. So definitely watch it. Really good movie. Cross that one out. Let's do Doctor Strange in the multiverse in the multiverse of madness. And when I go click on the IMDb, the font changes from yellow to red, I guess, for some reason, and I don't know why. Maybe some sort of like weird promotional tie-in. I don't know why it's doing that. But okay, weird. It's because of the multiverse and the madness, obviously. Sam Raimi directing a Marvel film. I'm going to get my notes. So when I heard that this film was being made, my thought was, surely they're not going to let Sam Raimi make a Sam Raimi movie anyway, so who cares? Right? Like, who gives a shit? He's just going to make a Marvel movie. And in some ways that was true, but it was way more of a Raimi film than I thought that they would ever allow. Because, you know, we've all heard the story about Edgar Wright, you know, wanting to do Ant-Man, and he hands them like the best script that like anybody who was honest, or I don't know if that's the right thing to say, anybody other than executives would say it was like the best script that they were ever given, but it was like just not what they wanted. And they're like, no, you have to make it more like a Marvel movie. And he just didn't want to work with them. And then that never happened. Right. So yeah, it just, I was thinking they're not going to let him make a Sam Raimi movie because of all this previous, you know, contention between directors and the Marvel machine. And he wound up making a Sam Raimi movie mostly. And it was still kind of a Marvel movie, but it was like way more Raimi than I thought it could be. And so I had some fun watching it, but I could, the entire time I was watching it, I was like, this is for me and not people who like Marvel, which is weird. Because it's kind of alienating its audience in that way. So I'm a person that like, I didn't even watch the first Doctor Strange. That's how much I give a shit. I was watching this because I wanted to see a Sam Raimi movie because director that I pay attention to. I was interested to see what it was. And so I watched it and I got a Sam Raimi movie out of it. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, people are going to be pissed off. Like, this is not like, I was almost like, why would you let him do this? Like, this is not something that Marvel fans are going to enjoy. Like, if you, anyone who wants to see a Marvel movie is not going to get what they wanted of it. They even did like this weird, like, undead army. They did all the classic, like, fucking Dutch angle Sam Raimi shots. They did some of the sequences of like, you know, the supernatural, like, oh, something's like banging at the door and like, whoosh, whoosh, like the really, you know, just expressive camera work that I love. And they had a Bruce Campbell cameo. Obviously, it's a fucking Sam Raimi movie. And so, like, all these people are watching it that are, like, not familiar with Sam Raimi as, like, his director trademarks. And I'm just watching it being like, yeah. But, like, it still wasn't a great movie. But I felt like it was, like, kind of like I felt guilty enjoying it. Not even necessarily that it was, like, a guilty pleasure, but I was like, damn, you really just let him make a Sam Raimi movie. Like, well, I don't know why he did this. I don't know how he got away with it, but he did it. Yeah, here's some of my notes. Even the end credits sequence with the Rorschach images was very Drag Me to Hell. I love Drag Me to Hell. It's so much fun. There was a Book of the Damned in the movie. There was Possession of the Dead. There was Dutch angles, closing doors, weird sound effects, etc. My biggest issue with the movie was the character and performance of America Chavez, who is a stupid name and I guess is a real character from Marvel Comics, but I'm not a comic book guy as much as some might call me that. Yeah, what a fucking... Couldn't act for shit. Her performance was fucking awful. She was annoying throughout. Just like incredibly annoying character, shit performance. Didn't need to be there. Movie would have been better without her. Just fucking annoying throughout. America Chavez. That's funny. Yeah. Can't even say specifically. I wish I could give more specific issues with how she performed in her character, but I mean, I forgot most of the movie. I saw it in May. It was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. I really do not like Jim from The Office being in this movie, and I'm not going to say which character in case that's kind of a spoiler, I guess, but that was kind of a funny sequence, but it was never like, it was always just kind of like, oh, it's Jim from The Office. It's Jim from The Office. Like, I never saw him as anything else, so I guess I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. It's closer to a 5 than a 7, probably, if I had to give it closer to one than the other, but yeah, 6 out of 10. I haven't seen Babylon yet. It's something that I'll see probably next week, and I'll also see the new Puss in Boots. I'm going to try and see both of them in one day. When will questions be answered? When I'm done reviewing movies, and I think there's only one more on my list. So I'm going to, I guess, save the Pinocchio movies for its own video. I don't know. I'm like debating whether or not I should do them in this video and just have like, I'm still figuring out what I want to do with them, because I watched all these Pinocchio films and I'm trying to make a video out of it. But I don't know if I want to do that now. Should I add Dogville? Let's see. Did I even write notes for Dogville? I didn't take notes when I watched Dogville. If you want my basic thoughts on that, I liked it for the most part, but it kind of got like weirdly gratuitous and kind of like torture porny near the end, which I guess I should expect from Lars von Trier. Yeah, that's about it. I liked certain choices in the movie, even though it got way too silly at the end, and I couldn't take it as seriously as the first. I took it much more seriously in the first, everything like up until the end. Or like parts near the end. It got the ending was satisfying, but like the whole 20 minutes before the ending was kind of like, really, bro? Really, bro? So I give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Big Trouble in Little China? Sure, I'll talk about Big Trouble in Little China, because I did watch that. And people don't like my rating on it. People think it's a masterpiece. Yeah, so I watched Big Trouble in Little China. I wanted to enjoy it. I didn't find it that funny, and my biggest issue with it is, just like Misery, it was shot like shit. And sure, you can have some people making the excuse like, oh, what if it's trying to be claustrophobic? I don't know if we can just say that every time a movie like doesn't properly show what's happening. Like when you have an action sequence, and I can't tell what's happening in the action sequence because of all the quick cuts and like just how poorly it's, visual information is so important to communicate when you're doing like action sequences. And so much of the movie was these action sequences. And it's incredible because this is the same director as The Thing, which he made before this. And like everything action-wise in The Thing, like every action taking place, is very incredibly well communicated in this movie. It's in The Thing. And it's just so poorly communicated in this movie, Big Trouble in Little China. I wasn't like super into, I like, it didn't leave a huge impression on me. There's like obviously some, the guy blows up and that's like the part that's memorable, and that's about it. It wasn't like wacky enough or funny enough for me to love. There's this like weird kind of like Kurt Russell's character just like didn't need to exist, and he was just kind of like, oh, I'm just the white guy showing up and being the guy that's supposed to be here. Like, you could have just made the story about the Asian dude, is what I remember about it. And again, I don't remember much because it didn't leave a big impression on me, even though I watched it like within the past year. Yeah, it was like all the shots were way too fucking close, and I never got a proper feel for any of the environments, and it sucked. It was just shot so terribly, and Yeah, way too many cuts, and I could never tell what was going on. And if they fixed how it was shown from a cinematography perspective, then I would have enjoyed it probably a lot more. But I have no idea why that happened, because like there's other movies that I like from John Carpenter that are not shot that way, and I don't understand why. All right, last movie, which I don't know if I took notes of, but I at least have one slightly interesting, maybe conspiratorial thing to say about it. Let's see. Pumping Iron, a documentary starring Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1977. It is like one of the things that really kickstarted his career as like a big name celebrity bodybuilder kind of guy. And there's like this entire, and it's a really interesting movie. It's like really like fascinating for the most part. I don't know if I wrote notes. Let's see if I wrote notes. Not on my phone. Not on my laptop. I didn't write notes for this one. I watched this with my personal trainer. He's seen this movie a lot, and it's kind of funny. And so there's this weird like factoid about, so Arnold has come out after this film was made and said that a lot of what he said in this movie was just fake, and he just said it because the director wanted him to say it. And he said so there's this whole part where he talks about like, oh yeah, I was just so into like my bodybuilding and so obsessed over like, just putting this above everything else in my life that, my dad died and I didn't even go to his funeral. I just like worked out instead and I didn't feel anything. And just like, it kind of like paints him as like almost like weirdly like this sociopathic character in a way, or at least not necessarily a sociopath, but like you can understand like the toll that this obsession is taking on his life. And when you put something into, when you compartmentalize that sort of thing in your head and you're like, this is the most important thing ever, then it can like bring out some more like, I guess, like toxic behaviors or something. And he came out after the fact and said, oh, that was not true, and they just wanted me to say that, so we pretended like that was the case. But then I looked it up, like, so that's like now a part of the general knowledge of the film, and that's because Arnold said after the fact that that was not true, that is now considered fact. The fact that we're taking his word for it that he is telling the truth now about it. But something that I noticed that was really interesting about this, and this is where it gets into conspiratorial shit, and this is again, like, sometimes I just, sometimes I feel like being conspiratorial. It worked out pretty well with Kimba. It worked out pretty well with some of the stuff in The Lion King. Sometimes I'm right about these things. When he said those things, and when he came out and said, "Oh no, all the parts that made me look bad and made me look like I have a bad character, those are not true. Everything else is true." That was around the time that he was running for governor. And so that makes me really go like, like, you're coming out and saying that that's not, like, all the parts that made me look bad were actually not true, and I just made them up. Around the time, like, that's when he was doing his campaign for governor. So I'm not sure if I believe when he says that that wasn't true now, because that just seems like weirdly convenient timing, right? So I don't know what to believe. I'm not going to say it's anything in the documentary is like 100% true or 100% not true, but I just find that interesting. And so again, I mean, like, yeah, in terms of like how the movie was made, it's a pretty solid documentary for 1977. It is not boring. It's kind of interesting in like a character study way. But yeah, like his interviews after the fact, which coincidentally happened when he was running for governor, where he says everything that made me look bad is not actually true. That kind of like makes the movie like that kind of like harms the film in a way when you're, when you're just saying, oh yeah, like it was all fake. It's like, okay, well then what is the movie? Is it not a documentary? So I don't really know. I don't know what to believe. I'll be watching Babylon and Puss in Boots sometime next week, I guess. Maybe in a week. My boyfriend's trying to fix his car. Maybe get a different car. And yeah, when he comes back, we're gonna watch those things together. So, I guess I'm gonna go on to super chats now. I've been standing for 2 hours and 36 minutes, so I'm gonna sit down. Will we get quickies for them? I should hopefully be able to do them. I got through everything. Look at this list. I got through everything but the Pinocchio films, which I will do in a different video. My voice is kind of dying. All right, we're gonna go through soup chats. Soup chats. Oh, wondering if I should have like a snack before I start the super chats. I'm like fucking exhausted. All right. Felix Lang asks, how do you feel about furries being more ingrained in popular culture right now? It was kind of an inevitability. When more of a percentage of the population is a thing, then you see it being just a part of culture. Like it is a part of culture. So why not? How do I feel about it? Doesn't really matter. There's, just still a lot of people that don't understand it. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just doing my own thing. I don't need other people to participate in it. So Levi Turner asks, how's the 2016 list coming? It's coming along well. I've been chipping away at it, bits and pieces at a time. I feel like I bit off more than I could chew with, it's not just 2015, but it's also all the stuff from it's not just 2016. It's also all the stuff from 2015 that I missed because I did my list differently in 2015. So I missed parts of the year because of that. And it's also now including like miniseries and television shows that started in 2016 or 2015. And so like already the short list is like 60 movies or some shit, which is like longer than way like any, and I haven't watched through everything yet. So I bit off more than I can chew. It's taken a fucking while. I don't know when it's going to come out. I'm sorry. Everything I ever do turns into like way too much of a fucking huge project than it should be. Colin says, thanks for introducing me to Jean Dielman. Woo, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thomas says, did you ever finish 2 and 3 of Genius? I think you'd hate part 2, but like part 3. No, and I don't feel bad about it. It's kind of everybody has this part of themselves where they just don't like a person or a celebrity or something that other people like. And then they're just itching to feel vindicated by it. And I feel like I got that with Kanye West because now he's a fucking Nazi. And so I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. My takes on Kanye have aged like a fine wine. So whatever. I don't feel like I have to watch parts 2 and 3 of Genius. Like, fuck that guy. Who gives a shit? It's a self-indulgent, masturbatory fucking I'm Jesus documentary made by somebody else who's like trying to interject himself into the story and just be a part of it, even though he's not. Okay. John N says, my underwears is on fire, Italian accent. They also say, can you grow a beard so I can kiss the screen? I can, but I'm not going to grow a beard. All right. Dalsmick says, I can't think of what to say. Take my money, YMS. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Michael says, quick smash and pass for Adam. These are from 2022. Oh my God. Mai Li Ming? Who is that? Oh God, do I have to look up every single one of these? Oh God, that's from Turning Red. Okay, no, they're underage and a girl. And let's see what the other one. Lee Woo Lee Ants. What the fuck? Why is this formatted so terribly in terms of... Are these also just Turning Red? No, they're all women. I'm not going to smash them. Pass. Chip, Dale, Monterey, Jack. Okay. Chip and Dale are critters. I'm not into anything that's small. I don't know who Monterey Jack is. Let's see. So pass on everybody so far. Is that just the cheese? Gadget Zipper? Ugly Sonic. Okay, hold on. I pass on the cheese. Gadget zipper. Okay, I know a lot of furries like gadget and zipper. Again, too small. I'm not into that thing. I like my animal human characters large, not fat, but like, you know, big, tall, muscular. I like that sort of thing. I like the intimidation factor. I like the anything that could kill me, I'm down, you know. Ugly Sonic, pass. So far everybody a pass. Let's see. Mr. Wolf, I guess that's from the bad guys. I mean, like, I wouldn't not do it, so I guess I would have to smash, yeah. If my answer was I wouldn't not do it, then I have to say yeah, I would smash. Mr. Shark, yeah, again, I wouldn't not do it. It's not necessarily my thing, but I wouldn't not do it. And then what is this one? Mr. Piranha. I forgot there was a piranha. Yeah, not interested. No, not interested in Mr. Piranha. Too small again. Mr. Snake. Yeah, sure. Why not? Fuck it. Smash Mr. Snake. And then Mr. Tarantula. I think also, again, like too small. Are they all... Is that a girl? It's just Tarantula. Okay, also it's a girl, yeah. Not interested in the Tarantula, sorry. PF Rupert. I don't know what that is. I'm searching up. I'm not going to answer these if they're this complicated. Okay, I didn't get a good search for that. Marmalade. I don't know what this is. Let's find out. Ew, again, just a fucking rodent? Like, no thank you. Not interested. And then Diane Foxington. They're like pushing it. They're pushing it. There's things I like about Diane Foxington, but it's also a girl. So not my thing. But I would say, like, if I was faced with, like, the yes or no question, I would probably say yes. I would probably smash Diane Foxington, even though it's a girl. Yeah, there's some things that I like. So, all right. Will I ever do the Vengeance trilogy on the podcast? I don't know. We'll have to see. Thank you, Felix Lang. What are your thoughts? What are your favorite Cartoon Network plus Adult Swim's tunes? Moral Oral is super high up there. Spilling a drink on my shirt for no reason is pretty high up there. You know, I don't think that because you would fuck someone of the opposite gender that makes you bi. Because gay and straight are preference. Like, there's very few people that are, like, literally that black and white where it's like there's 0 males or 0 females that you would fuck. That's not, like, much of a thing. And if someone says that, sure, you know, take their word. But I'm willing to bet that for the overwhelming majority of people, there's, like, someone that could be a male but just presents female enough, or a female that presents male enough, or, you know, there's, like, you take away the taboo aspect, you take away the fear aspect, you take away the, like, you know, ego aspect, or, like, the personal, like, oh no, like, I don't want to think of myself in that way. And I think most people are, like, not 100% straight or 100% gay. I consider myself gay even if there's, like, some fictional, technically female characters that I would have sex with, right? I still haven't had sex with a girl. I mean, I've kind of, not really. I haven't penetrated. I've been in some, I'm not going to go into detail. But it could happen. It could happen. I'm not against it, but I'm still gay. That's a preference, right? If I prefer dudes, that's my sexuality. Anyway. What else? What else we got here? Cartoon Network. Oh, I fucking love Gumball. I'm super into Gumball right now. Oh, and The Shivering Truth I revisited. Fucking love it. It's from the creators of Xavier Renegade Angel. Watch The Shivering Truth for sure. It's amazing. I should put answering super chats. Yeah, Shivering Truth is fucking amazing. Everybody should watch it. It might be PFFR's best show. They created Xavier Renegade Angel. They created Wonder Chosen. They created The Heart She Holler, everything they make is amazing. If anybody knows Vernon Chapman or anybody from PFFR, just let them know that like I would love to get in contact with them. I would love to just have them as contacts because I love everything they do. I'd love to like interview them. Like I think they're just fucking amazing. I love their shit. I connect with it so much. I would just love to keep promoting their shows, their pieces of art. I fucking think they're super cool. Shinji1, am I autistic if I dress like a bat and prowl? Probably, maybe. Shai Zohar, have you seen any Wong Kar-wai films? He is my favorite director. You should watch 2046. Did I watch 2046? I don't think so. I know Wong Kar-wai is like on my list of directors I need to check out, and I feel like almost embarrassed that I haven't yet. Whereas, like, if I had never seen a Hitchcock film, and for a good time, there was a point in time where I hadn't seen a Hitchcock film. I've seen a few now. But if you say you've never seen a Hitchcock film, people will go like, what? Whereas, like, Wong Kar-wai, you have to be, like, a bit more of a film head. You have to, like, watch Criterion movies or, like, it's not as much of a what? Like, less people know of Wong Kar-wai, but they've always been on my radar. I know that In the Mood for Love is a movie I'm supposed to watch. And I'm excited to see them. And what was really interesting, actually, is in Everything Everywhere All at Once, despite me never having seen a Wong Kar-wai film, it was so apparent and obvious when they were doing scenes that were in direct reference to Wong Kar-wai films. And I don't know how I was able to pick this up, but like the lighting and the framing and like the costumes, like how they were communicating certain aspects of that multiverse thing where he was like in a suit and it was like raining and she was an actress. I was like, oh yeah, this is like supposed to be a Wong Kar-wai film. And I don't know how I knew that because I've never seen one. But so I'm it's in my peripheral enough that I have like an idea of what to expect from it, or at least like what the film kind of looks like. And so I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to see some Wong Kar-wai films. And yeah, we'll see. Because like, I loved the new Baz Punpriya film that he produced, and it was so apparent with that, like that there was an extra voice helping him with the cinematography. Because Bad Genius is the Baz Punpriya film before that. I was like, okay, this is it's fine. Bad Genius 2017. I was like, that was fine. And then his newest film called One for the Road, which Wong Kar-wai executive produced. I looked it up after because I was like, okay, well, there's clearly something different going on with the cinematography here. And I looked it up and it was like, oh, okay, apparently he did like work closely with him and teach him a lot of secrets, and like he was a heavily involved producer on that. And so it really goes to show. And so, yeah, after seeing like that clear difference in how he works with another director has got me even more excited to watch his own films. So yeah, I'm excited to see some Wong Kar-wai. Maybe we should do a watch along or something. We'll see. Maybe I should recommend it on the podcast. Maybe Alex should recommend it on the podcast. I don't know. Levi Turner. Atlanta FX on Hulu is easily my favorite modern show. It ended at 4 seasons and I'd highly recommend. It has a non-linear David Lynch type vibe with a lot of interesting commentary. Weird. I didn't know it had a David Lynch type vibe where it was non-linear. We've seen the first 2 episodes. I think we've seen the first 2 episodes. We'll continue watching it. Haven't seen all of it, but yeah, thank you, Levi. Cole Asud. Hello, longtime fan and aspiring author. I wanted to know if you think screenwriting and literature are coming closer together given this golden era of dramas, especially on TV. Happy New Year. Screenwriting and literature coming closer together? I don't know what the question means. In terms of like a narrative novel and screenplay for films, I don't know if they're closer together. I don't know if I can say that because I'm not like a huge book person. Not that I can read fast. I read a lot of articles. I don't read a lot of like narrative like novels or anything. I just prefer the medium of film. I read a lot of subtitled films. I have no issue reading, but I just like it's not as interesting to me. So without having like the proper like repertoire or experience or vocabulary, I guess, for novels, I'm not sure if I'm the person to ask about whether or not literature and screenwriting are coming closer together. I think that there's a lot of movies that exist that could never be a book, and there's a lot of books that exists that could never be a movie. Case in point, Charlie Kaufman, you know? So I don't know how to say over X amount, whatever decade, if it's closer or further away. I don't know. What do I think of the movie Dark City? I remember partially enjoying it, but it not like leaving a huge impression on me. Thanks, the big large. I'd be down to rewatch it. Since when do I stream? I stream on this channel twice a year for my Oscars commentary and for my Quickie Catchup stream at the end of the year. I stream several times a week on my Twitch channel, ADUMPLAZE. I stream several times a month on my YMS Watch-Alongs channel, where you can watch along to films with me. YouTube YMS Watch-Alongs. Can you post the link for that as well, fanboy? Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to answer some more questions. We're going to get through some more. MG, hi Adam. I've asked over the years through super chats about your work and work-life balance. Last I asked, you were still struggling with your wrist pain. I wanted to check in on how it's going. It's okay. So I did a lot of moving, and there was a lot of like setup for like, you know, like this desk and like constructing things and like, you know, all these boxes and like you know, that fucking rowing machine and like, there's certain routines and certain things that I do with my hands and wrists that make them flare up again, but it's only in my right wrist when it flares up again. So my, like, as far as I know, my left arm is like 100% completely healed, because even when I'm doing things that irritate my right arm equally, like it never irritates my left arm again. And I'm happy to say that when it does flare back up in my right arm, so far it has been not as long of a flare up as it has been in the past, like a year ago. So when I was replacing the Ethernet cable here, and so I got the flat cable and I tucked it in between the carpet and the baseboards. And it was just like, you know, like for like, I don't know, like 80 feet of the house or however long the cable was, you know, putting pressure and just like really fucking jamming it in there. And then the next day, I had to put an ice pack on my right arm. And I was like, oh, fuck, is this like, am I really like fucked for the next few days? And thankfully, it only lasted that day. But the catch to that is, even though I am seeing an improvement with it, the improvement only happens if I continue the habits of lessening the amount of mouse clicking and keyboard typing that I'm doing. So like, I can't just throw it away and be like, oh yeah, let's just go back into the same like overworking, crunching habits that I did when I was working like around my Kimba review and shit, you know, like I'm never going back to that level of what I'm doing hands-on by myself. I'm trying to outsource more of what I do. I'm again trying to do different forms of content where some of it is, you know, me watching along to a movie that doesn't involve much typing, clicking, you know, stuff. I feel blessed that I have the ability to still continue working and creating content that people enjoy in a different way that doesn't involve as much of my hands-on editing. Because yeah, as you know, I've mentioned before, my mom had the same issue, but she didn't have the option of changing what she was doing work-wise, and so she kept typing, she kept keyboard clacking, you know, working for her job, and now she's fucked, and she like can't even open a jar. So I'm trying to do things in a way where I'm, you know, I have things that I have opportunities that she didn't. And so, you know, it sucks. I'm trying my best to, you know, obviously I'm going to finish The Lion King. I'm going to finish Synecdoche, New York. I'm still going to do, you know, like good sized reviews for Old and the Saw Spiral and stuff. But like, I'm also, you know, like I can't, if you're seeing a shift in another direction in terms of content, if you're seeing a slow, like kind of, you know, more YMS watches, watch-alongs, commentary stuff, and less full-length YMS reviews, it's not because I don't literally like enjoy doing it and don't want to do it, and like it, you know, they're my most viewed videos. Like I have every incentive to be making them. Like that's where most of my money comes from, is those types of reviews. I'm just trying to not be disabled, and I'm trying to not be unable to play instruments, which is obviously a very important thing for me. I'm trying to not put myself in the situation that I was in a year and a half, 2 years ago, when it got so bad that I literally couldn't like use either of my arms, and I got absolutely fucked by it and had to go through a bunch of physical therapy, and then caught not just tendonitis but also sciatica in my left leg, and I was just like absolutely fucked, and I like basically couldn't move. So I'm just trying not to I'm trying to change my habits. Anyway, thank you for checking in. Levi, would you ever do a director ranking video? PTA and Hanky-chan would be fun to have. Also, did The Revenant replace Anomalisa as your favorite movie of 2015 now that they're both 10s? I don't know. I'd have to rewatch Anomalisa. I don't know if I would ever do a director ranking video. I've already been clear about who my favorite directors are. Michelle Haneke is number 1. Steve McQueen, Black Steve McQueen, is number 2. You know, Iñárritu is up there. I would have to really think about the rest after that point, but... Tater Nuts says, just want to say things have been rough for me the last several years. You've helped me cope with all the BS. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have helped. Hopefully the things that have been rough for you are not financially related. Otherwise, I feel bad for taking your money. Thank you, though. Odanis678, May Zabu wonders if you know One Stormy Night. That sounds familiar. Let's look it up real quick. $1992. Is that it? Is it 2015? There's a few things called One Stormy Night, so I don't know of it. I don't know of it, even though it sounds familiar. I don't know what it is. Sorry. Dusty Gonzagas. I deserve a medal for stifling my laughter at We're Sea People Now in the theater I saw Avatar 2 in. Yep, I would say so. Pig, Hog Dog, Vomiting Frog. Hey, Adam. Thank you so much. Green Entertainment. I thought I was going to be that was going to be his son. I don't know when you were talking about that, so I don't know the context. Sorry about that. Jampersand. I had to stop myself from laughing too hard when a character in Avatar 2 said, "Get me out of here." He might have also said, "I didn't do anything." Yeah, I remember that. I was also laughing. That was very funny. Realhead says, how do you feel about authorial intent and death of the author? You seem to care a lot. Do foreign films translated affect that intent? And is it enough for you to effect it in some way? Why? Thanks. Well, there's some grammatical and sentence structure errors with how you've communicated yourself, but from what I can say, I mean, like, death of the author, yeah, I mean, like, I believe in it. You can create something that has deeper meaning than what the author intended. Neil Breen is not, like, the way I enjoy a Neil Breen film is not necessarily how he wants me to enjoy them. Pieces of art exist independently of the author, and the author's intent should be taken into consideration when you're trying to gauge what type of accomplishments should be attributed to the creator of the work. But in terms of scaling and rating the work on its own, that's not necessary. You don't necessarily have to take the author into consideration. I mean, you should think about it, but it's not necessary. I can, if I want to believe in the indoctrination theory for the ending of Mass Effect 3, I don't give a shit what the writers said about it. Okay, the ending makes more sense if you believe in the indoctrination theory. It's a fan theory, but it makes more sense that way. It's the only way I could imagine the ending of that. So even though they say it's not canon, I don't give a shit. You can interpret art however you want. That's part of what makes art beautiful. Cleanixify. I recently watched and enjoyed Banshees of Inisherin and 3 Billboards. What other dark comedy / dramas would you recommend? Thanks. Ooh, I don't know if I'm dark comedy / dramas. Burn After Reading is a dark comedy. Fantastic dark comedy. Another Coen Brothers film is A Serious Man. I love that as a dark comedy. I'm not going to spend too long trying to remember all the dark comedies and dramas that I've watched, but there's a couple if you haven't seen them. Thank you. I appreciate it. Will M. How about they gave the bad guy the exact same dragon humping scene as the first movie? Oh, he fell and falling. Oh, wait. There he is. You mean your main characters didn't die in the middle of the film? Shocking. Was that about Rings of Power? What are we talking about? Could somebody tell me what that was about? Yeah, In Bruges is great. Yeah. Do we know what Will M was talking about? All right. Avatar? Oh yeah, the dragon humping. Okay. Exact same dragon humping scene. Oh Jesus. Like really? Like, when you phrase it that way. Oh, he fell and is falling. Oh wait, there he is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but thank you, Will Elm. Yeah, it's stupid. It's dumb. How do you feel about have you seen blank questions? Someone like you probably gets the question so much it would become annoying, or do you enjoy getting asked to discover new movies? Cheers. If there's a movie, thank you, Mr. Mateo. If there's a movie I haven't seen, I'll add it to my watch list. Generally, unless I ask them, do you think it's something that I would enjoy? They'd be like, yeah, you probably think it's all right. Then I'm like, why am I? Don't even tell me about this if you don't think it's something I will at least find interesting. I only really don't enjoy have you seen blank questions when I have a public video about it already and I have to tell them, hey, person who's ostensibly a fan of my content, there's a video already. And in the time that you could have asked this question in my live chat, you could have just searched YMS space movie title and found the video. So that's the only time it's annoying. I would like to encourage my audience to be a bit more self-sufficient when it comes to finding information like that. It's really not that difficult. Quote Raider says DGGL. Okay, very nice. That's a woman's name, actually. Nicodemus Lopez. Some sellers on eBay are selling the individual 4K copies of Synecdoche, New York from the Sony Classics 30th Anniversary Collection if you're interested. Well, it went on sale for like half off for like a couple weeks ago, so I just bought it, the whole thing. Because you know what? I like Call Me By Your Name. I remember enjoying fucking Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There's some other stuff that was interesting in that collection, and I fucking hate Sony, and I think they're absolute fucking scammers for selling it only in that way. But I knew I needed to get fucking Synecdoche 4K, and it's a tax write-off because it's for my business. So, I mean, Abadrabo. How do you think A24 is going to handle Ari Aster's third film now that it's called Beau's Afraid, given the runtime and budget, $54 million? I can't imagine interventions in theaters working in new time. What? Interventions in theaters working in new time? I don't know what you mean by that, but I mean, Midsummer had a theatrical and a director's cut. It was still successful. I preferred the director's cut, but yeah, it seems like maybe they trust him now. I don't know. We'll have to see. Do you plan to do a full review of Deadly Lessons? No, I don't. Thank you, the big large. Jaime, do I like Pearl better than X? If you've seen it, I have not seen Pearl. Sorry. Thank you. I mean, Berdabo. Is Karsten Rundquist a likely guest for someone who is a Muslim and wants to make a Muslim horror film like Ari Aster and Jordan Peele? What would be your advice be for me? Thanks for having a fun podcast. Karsten Rundquist could show up. I don't know what you mean by Muslim horror film, because there's a film recently called like The Holy Spider, which was a film with a Muslim, like Arabic setting, and like the commentary on like Muslim culture is like pretty, like that's a huge part of the movie, but it's also like really critical of like Iranian governmental and like social like culture. And so like I don't know if what you mean when you say Muslim film is like something that incorporates like religion into it, or something that it like incorporates it in just the setting. So like I don't know. It depends on what kind of film you're trying to make. The people who made Holy Spider, they're like staying away from Iran for the foreseeable future, because Yeah, the government was very decidedly not happy about that film. So I don't know if that's what you're trying to make or that's what your intentions are, but that was an interesting movie for sure. And yeah, Karsten could be a guest at some point. We don't do guests every episode. I like to do guests when we're not busy. Right now, holidays, and we're kind of fucking busy. So Leonardo Pyrus, thank you so much. Hey Adam, I really like your reviews. I'd like to know what's your favorite film from Brazil. Anything that comes to mind? Thanks anyway, and Happy New Year. Oh God, I'll have to figure out what fucking movies I've seen from Brazil. I remember Estomago was from Brazil. That was good. Fuck, damn it. Does anybody know what movies I've seen that are from Brazil? City of God was decent, but I don't know if I know that's a lot of people's answer. I don't know if I would have to like fuck you with my pronunciation. Fuck you. Dude, go fuck yourself. In a video game. 5 Prisoners. Oh wait. Yeah, was that Brazilian? Was it called 5 Prisoners? Wasn't it called 8 Prisoners? 7 Prisoners. There we go. Yeah, 7 Prisoners was great. That was an easy 8 out of 10. I think that was from Brazil, yeah. So I haven't seen a lot of Brazilian films. Brazil is not from Brazil. No. Brazil is a British movie. But yeah. 7 Prisoners was really good. Netflix movie. I would recommend it. And Happy New Year. Thank you, Leonardo Pyrus. Rhett Metters just wanted to plug my friend's upcoming independent horror movie called Analog Eyes. Add it to your watch list. Would be greatly appreciated. I'm doing the soundtrack for it. Oh, cool. I just wanted to get the word out. Love you, Adam, longtime fan. I will add Analog Eyes. Anal-og, EYES. I will add that to my watch list. I don't know if I will enjoy it, and I cannot guarantee when I'm going to watch it. It could be in 5 years from now. So I added it to my watch list. Thank you. By the time I watch it, I won't know how it got on my watch list, probably. But I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Rai, the video guy. Tarantino's Ghost wrote It's Pat, 1994. What? It's Pat? Is that true? What's It's Pat? The movie? He ghost wrote it? Adam Bernstein? All right, what time did I text my brother? Let's see. I texted him at 7:44 p.m. saying I could be a couple hours. Okay, he said he's going to be up late, so I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I'll watch list It's Pat. But by the time I watch it, I won't know why it was on my watch list. All right. Zachary, considering its awards buzz ramping up and how it's getting lots of love from critic groups, do you think you'll check out SS Ramu's RRR? Speaking as a fan, it's got to be seen with a crowd. Fuck. I don't like... No. I really didn't like his previous film, Bahubali. I thought it was bullshit. I thought Bahubali sucked. And I get it. It's not Bollywood. It's Telugu. But when I watch it and it has everything that I don't like about Bollywood in it, like, does that even matter? You know, like I'll feel obligated to watch RRR come awards season when people say it got snubbed or when it gets nominated for best foreign language or something, right? So I guess I'll watch it. I don't know if I'm gonna fucking finish it. So we'll see. I'm just like really not into it, and I tried with fucking Bahubali. Sorry, I appreciate it. MC Cool, have you watched Glass Onion? Thoughts? Yes, it is on my TIFF 2022 video. You can watch that on my channel. Thank you so much. Spencer Bean, remember Skinamarink? Yes, I do. Its creator, Kyle Edward Ball, has a YouTube channel called Bite Sized Nightmares. You might find this other creator's content to be at least somewhat interesting. I think I subscribe to it. I don't know if I've seen any of the other content. I might at some point. Thank you. Johnny, $20, heart. Thank you so much. Lunaland, no comment. Thank you for the super chat. Dewey Dewman. Dude, Adam, you've been for real someone I've watched for years and never get tired of it. Can't wait for the Oscars this year. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That'll be fun. Sleepy Blue, please take care of your mental health first. Yeah, I've been doing pretty good with that. I've been happier than ever. Yeah, I'm in a much better place than I was like a year or two ago. So, Osmond, I've never seen Avatar when I was a kid. I assumed Avatar was just a tech demo for Blu-ray. I did not have a Blu-ray player. I'm currently 23. Oh, very cool. Thank you. Jersey Shore Elf. We're all hurling towards death. This is true. We're all going to die Synecdoche. Riley Watson. You introduced me to Kenny versus Penny. I am eternally grateful for you. Long live Sparkle Horse. Did you hear the newly released song? No. How did they release a song after his death? Have they really been doing that right now? I mean, that's happened with a bunch of artists, but like he's been dead for a while. What the fuck? Newly released song? I guess I'll have to just search up Sparkle Horse. 3 weeks ago. Okay, I guess I'll fucking... Wow, that's sad. Damn, fuck. I'll check it out. I don't know. Kenny versus Penny is a lot of fun. Thank you. Ian Boylan, since you like Martin McDonagh, his bro also directs movies. John Michael McDonagh. Try to watch The Guard and The Cavalry when you can. You'd like them. Are you sure? I don't like when people say I would like something. You don't know. The Guard. 2011 with Brendan Gleeson, probably. That's already on my watch list. And The Cavalry. Is it 2010? No, that's not it. What is it? Well, I'll just go from his director credit. Hold on. The Guard. John Michael McDonagh. Oh, just Cavalry. I enjoyed Cavalry. It's not The Cavalry. Did you say that? You said The Cavalry. It's just Cavalry. I liked Cavalry a lot, actually. That was a good movie. Thank you. I didn't know he was the brother. That's cool. So, 1 out of 2 of those movies I did like. Okay. I Am a Fist or Llama Fist? Llama Fist? I don't know. There's a picture of a llama in it, so it has to be Llama Fist. America Chavez is kind of an annoying Mary Sue in the comics as well. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Adrian Rivera, you deserve this YMS. Here's to one of my absolute favorites, Papa Bless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Krabs 55. I hate to ask this, but Lion King 2 when? Well, in part 1, I said I wouldn't start working on it until next year, and it is not next year yet. And even though I've been so much fucking busier this year than I ever thought I possibly could be, I brought all my shit, even though I brought some stuff to Atlanta, I brought all the Lion King stuff that I should be working on. I actually got a new Blu-ray ripping drive here where I can rip 4K UHDs. I've been doing some tests. I ripped the Lion King 2019 4K disc, so I might be using that in the review. I'm just figuring out how to make it so that when it's on YouTube, it's not... what is it called? The HDR. I got to get rid of the HDR, which I think FCP can do, but I got to do more tests with it. So don't worry, it's coming. I don't know when it's going to be out. I'm sorry. Like, it's a fucking nightmare monster piece of shit movie. So don't blame me if it takes a while. I'm sorry. I've got a lot of projects I'm working on. I appreciate it. Okay. So we're refreshing this. There's a lot of new super chats here. Thank you for your patience. All right. How far do we have to scroll down? And King 2. All right. Michael Forte. Thoughts on Donnie Darko? I remember enjoying it. It was my favorite movie when I was 13, 15, somewhere around there. It was my favorite movie. And I watched it, I don't know, like 20 fucking times. And then I grew up and then I haven't watched it since. But I'd be interested in checking it out again. If I could imagine, I would say it probably still holds up, but holy fuck, Richard Kelly, it seems like he probably accidentally made a good movie based on his other films. I don't think he's ever going to recreate that. It seems like lightning in a bottle. Real M Media, what are my thoughts on Craig Zeller? Did I see Dragged Across Concrete? My thoughts on him are, sorry to make you mad, but I don't know why people like him. I really, Craig... His name is Craig S. Zeller, right? S. Craig Zeller. Yeah, there we go. Bone Tomahawk was shit. It was boring. There was some good gore at the end, and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, did people like this because there was gore at the end? Is that the only reason why people liked it? Brawl in Cell Block 99 was shit. I don't know why people liked that one. Vince Vaughn can't act. It was stupid. The whole fucking like grenade thing, I was like, oh my God, it was just so annoying. I don't like his movies at all, so they don't connect with me. I'm sorry. I don't know why anybody likes him. I don't know why he's a name that anybody asks me about. Other than there's gore in it. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, like there's gore in it. Like, I guess, like, is that why people like it? I don't know why. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. David R. Saw the clip of you at Channel 5 Live. Epic. Also, did you ever watch Horace and Pete? I don't think I watched Horace and Pete. 2016. Is that on? Oh, yeah. I think I watched a bit of it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I watched enough of it to know that it wasn't going to make my list. I give it a 5 and skipped through it. Sorry. It was fine. Emily, I watched the Before trilogy because of your 2013 list. Thank you. You said Midnight was your least favorite, but how would you rank the other two? I would rank the second one as the best one, and I've only seen them once, maybe twice. So yeah, Before Sunset was fucking awesome. Before Sunset was like easily, I think that's the best one for sure. I would love to watch the trilogy again. It's great. Leon W. Hi, Adam. Why were you standing for 2 hours? Because I have a sit-to-stand desk and it's healthier to stand. Thank you so much. Hellas Wylan, are you planning on watching The Last of Us HBO show? Yes, and because it's probably coming out on HBO Max, or I mean, I could watch it on my... It's a television show, so I'll probably do a watch-along for it, so stay tuned for that. You can watch along on the Watch-Alongs channel, YMS Watch-Alongs channel. Search that up on YouTube. You can watch along with me. We will all watch along to the film show. Bumper Much, would you ever consider watching Cowboy Bebop? Also, did you see that Jack's Films put your Lion King video as one of his videos of the year? I've seen enough of Cowboy Bebop to like not really be that interested in continuing. Sorry. I know it's like one of the best animes, I guess, but it just was kind of like repetitive. I was like, it's just the same thing every episode, and I wasn't like super excited about what I was watching in the episode. Honestly, from what I watched of like Space Dandy, I was enjoying Space Dandy a bit more, maybe because there was like a furry cat character. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but yeah, I saw that Jack's Films put that video there. That was really cool. Thank you. Zachary, do you think you would talk about the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV show either on here or the podcast? I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I wasn't that into the web series. I loved the first episode. Everything after that, I was not attached to, so I don't know I would continue with the show. It's not my thing. I'm sure it's well made or something. I don't know. It's just not, I'm not into it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Felix Lang, what movie made you cry the most? Probably Dear Zachary. Yeah, Dear Zachary is like one of the worst I've felt after watching a movie. So be warned, it's a documentary. Don't look up anything about it. If you want to just have a miserable time, that's the movie to watch. The Super One Player. Hey, Adam, I've been rewatching some AVGN lately. I was curious if you ever watched any of his videos. If so, what are your thoughts? Much love. I was never really into it in the same... it was in the same time frame as Nostalgia Critic, and I never really watched Nostalgia Critic either. Just wasn't my thing. It was only... I was aware of this type of content on the internet, and I was just never into it until Red Letter Media showed up, and then I was suddenly, then it was like, okay, I guess this content can be good. Yeah, was never really into AVGN. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe show me like a great video that I would enjoy without the nostalgia, associated with it, and I don't know. I'm not saying it's the bad shit, but it's not the worst. I don't know. I just was never into it. Never saw any reason to seek out more than what I had seen incidentally. Cotton Wooldridge. Hey, Adam, thanks for the awesome stream. I usually don't like live streams, but I'm celebrating a year and 9 months sober from alcohol. Very cool. And start HRT tomorrow. Also cool. And this was perfect for cleaning background. Well, I'm glad that you have done enough self-reflection to know what you want to do and know what's good for you. And yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I'm happy that you've grown and developed to the point in your life where you can make those decisions for yourself and be confident about yourself. Favus Smith, have you seen A Town Called Panic? Is the horse in that fit, and would you? I've seen A Town Called Panic. It's in my 2009 list. It's one of the most fun French stop-motion animated movies. It's just like, yeah, it's just a blast to watch. I love the tone. I love how ridiculous it is. Is the horse in that fit? I wouldn't say they're fit. I mean, like, they're just like a plastic. They're really like undefined plastic horse. It's like a toy. Would I? No. It's like it's got no. It doesn't even have parts. It's just a fucking piece of plastic. All right, Jim Kip. Hey, Adam, do you like Mudkips? We don't carry Battletoads actually. Fucking old meme Jim Kip over here. Drenched. Hey, Adam, I have a background in audio production. I'm trying to break into video editing. Any tips on mindset / how meticulous it can be? Thanks. It is meticulous as you want it to be. There are channels that have consistently had the shittiest audio I've ever seen that are just still successful. But there are people out there that, if you put your effort into it, will notice. So really, it's not going to make or break. Like, I mean, depends on what kind of videos you're making. I would say audio is like a good thing to do well, especially I would say the mixing is the most important part. mixing is going to be the most important part in terms of like leveling, like background music to voiceover. Like you want to make sure that everything's audible and clear, but otherwise, like, yeah, it seems like most people don't give a shit about audio, so whatever. Jorge Hugo Lopez Lesca. Hey Adam, I'm just curious if there's a chance maybe you could have Pan Pizza as a guest on Sardonicast. Would make for a good animation centric episode. Yeah, there is a chance. I don't know when that will happen. I can't make any promises about any dates or anything. Thank you though. Matt the W, Happy New Year. You should check out Everybody Hates Johan. Fun kind of dark Norwegian comedy with a neat story. Let's see. All right, I'll watch it. There's a horse on the cover, whatever. And explosives and a heart. Okay, yeah, why not? Lil Wannabe, what are your thoughts on the Barbie movie trailer? Well, I recorded a reaction to the Barbie movie trailer. It's only a teaser right now. It didn't really show much. I'm interested in it because it's Greta Gerwig. Not really much else. We'll see what it is. It could be anything. The trailer didn't say that much. Thank you so much. Colton Wooldridge, my question, what do you think of these ideas? You can call your grouped casual quickie format thickies. I don't know if I want to do that. And in the Bojack Uni, you're an online critic, Yorimu Veskis or ADH, a damn horseman from YouTube. What? Oh, in the Bojack universe, I'm an online critic, Yormu Veskis. I get it. Okay. Or ADH, a damn horseman from YouTube. Okay. Very cool. Thank you. I'm not going to call them thickies. Thanks, though. Dylan Stein. I've never actually sat and watched a stream before, and thanks for the good time, Adam. Thank you so much. Michael, have you ever read article on Park Chan-wook's response to finally seeing Spike Lee's Old Boy sources on IndieWire? Thanks for responding, Smash and Pass. Smash and Pass who? Spike Lee or Park Chan-wook? I mean, neither, really. They're not really... Yeah, I'm not really... I respect Park Chan-wook a lot, but I don't need to suck his dick to respect him, you know? I didn't see the IndieWire article, but I should leave a tab open for it because I knew that existed and I forgot to check it out, and it sounds funny. Park Chan-wook, IndieWire, Old Boy, Spike Lee. Let's see if I can just leave a tab open. All right. Yeah, this is December 13th, 2022, so I'm going to leave that tab open. Thank you so much for reminding me about it. Please check back in. I might forget about it, so you never know. Papa, hey Adam, my mom and I saw the Banshees of Inisherin on your recommendation. They were great aesthetics, acting, and symbolism, but overall it was very somber. Was the tone a positive or negative for you? Well, I thought that it was like absolutely hilarious, and then it kind of got depressing, which I don't have an issue with. I think that it handled both of those tones very well. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would say the tone was a positive overall. Yeah, I didn't have. Holy shit! The screensaver on my Mac just changed. I didn't know it could do that. Holy shit! It just reset itself. That was so bizarre. If I was on drugs right now, I'd be freaking out. All right. Things I can't find. Adam, how did you only give Palo Alto a 5? One of the worst films ever made. Probably because I didn't finish it. Let's see. Emma Roberts, James Franco, 2013. Yeah, I probably didn't finish it. It's probably what happened. I probably watched like enough of it to know I didn't want to watch the rest of it, and so I just gave it a 5. IMDb doesn't have a I tried to watch this button. It doesn't have it. So I just give things a 5 if I don't know what to think of it. I think that that's pretty fair. It's not a 1, it's not a 10, right? So, all right, Felix Lang is a 10 movie to you, Adam's a 9 with no flaws. What? Is a 10 movie to you, Adam, a 9 with no flaws? What? A movie can be flawless and not get a 10. A movie could be flawless and get a 1 or a 5. Doesn't matter. There has to be a personal component to it too. There's a lot of factors. Sorry. What do you do when you get too many copyright strikes? Deal with them slowly over time. Thank you, Stefan Saba. Movie of 10. Any plans to do more Jen Hope, Darman, etc. reactions? I cannot get enough of those. There's one on my watch list that I plan to stream. It is a Samir video that I was notified about on my subreddit, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Thank you, though. David, would you consider Jenny Nicholson again for the podcast? I wanted a Jenny feat before that episode, and it went as great as I thought. I would love to have Jenny back. She was great. She got along with everybody. and she's a blast to talk to. I love her content. She's a really cool person. All right, no restart, but only proceed. Any new unkindness music coming out? I've been writing some music slowly. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to do, what approach I want to take, how much of a studio thing versus indie thing I want to do. I'm still figuring out the production element, and yeah, I got to figure out how to use this fucking keyboard that I bought. There's a huge learning curve with that. So, Dixon Myers, I get it. Okay, loved the Lion King vids. Thanks, dude. Changed how much I watch all movies since then. Lol. Thank you so much. Cameron Chevalier, when are you going to review the greatest film of all time, Chappie 2015? I don't I don't think anybody liked that movie. So obviously this is sarcastic. I don't think it's not even on my watch list. Is there a point in me watching it? Is the question? Is there anything like positive that could come out of me even watching it? Like, is there any reason why I should watch it? Okay, I gotta pee real quick, and then we're almost done these. Actually, we're almost done the super chats. Unless you want to add some more, I'm gonna be done this in like I guess 5 minutes. Unless there's more super chats. So gotta pee. Hold on. Whew. All right, here we go. Thank you for all the super chats, by the way. I'll tell my brother I'm almost ready. Just see if he's still awake and still wants to play Halo, which we'll do on the Twitch channel. Adam plays ADOMPLAZE. Oops. All right, we're going to control F for the super chat here. All right, Junkari P says, probably the most enjoyable reviews on YouTube. Take my money. Thank you so much. I've noticed your comments on videos here and there. I appreciate it. Have I seen Paul Thomas Anderson's Anima from Corants? I think so. That was a music video, right? It was like a Radiohead. Tom York. Yeah. Yeah, I did watch that. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 7. I think we talked about it on the podcast. I think we talked about it on Sardonicast. Briefly, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, I remember enjoying it. I'll probably watch it again. It might be on the short list for like a, 2021 thing. Patrick Andres, longtime fan. I've been getting into your work as an unkindness, working through my way through 10 years. I really connect with it. Absolutely love it. Cheers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, my music, I want to do more with it, even if it's not like a frequent thing. I want to put more time dedicated towards my music than I currently do. So hopefully the shift in terms of my content kind of shifting into like less hands-on things can open up some time for that. So I appreciate it. But we'll see. I'm kind of a workaholic, so. Juicy Brucey, how do you feel about hearing Charlie Kaufman compliment your reviews? As someone who's in YouTube for a long time, how do you feel about the review space? I mean, yeah, obviously, Charlie Kaufman was the first person I had ever interviewed, and so it was kind of funny me fishing for a compliment, but it worked, and I got it, and made me feel really good, and it still makes me feel really good. I still think about it, and it means a lot more having somebody that I actually respect on an intellectual level and that I connect with his art. Hearing him say that I'm great, or at least the content that he watched from me. That doesn't mean he's seen every video. That doesn't mean he like agrees with all my takes on everything. But at least the Synecdoche, New York stuff that I've covered, for an artist to create that and hear, essentially without like saying it out loud, that he thinks that I am, that I get it enough to be able to make substantive commentary on it is really cool. I think that's really cool. How do I feel about the review space? I don't watch everyone's reviews. I try to stay, like a well-liked person that gets along with everybody. Some people I don't like as much. Doesn't really necessarily matter, like political persuasion. There's some people on either side that are like kind of shit or kind of stupid. I just tend not to like try to start drama or anything. There's some people that I just don't like as much, but who knows? If they start shit with me, then I can just, just don't bait me, bro. Don't bait me. Yeah, I'm the type of person where, as if you're a fan of me, you'll notice that I've communicated this mostly throughout my channel. I enjoy hearing other people's perspectives, and I don't think that there is necessarily like an objective way to look at media. And the people that I've taken the most issue with are ones that are, I guess, people that are, let's say, really kind of like elitist, saying like, no, you can only ever look at a movie like this way, and you're wrong if you do this. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like, that's so stupid. Like, you think you're so full of yourself when you say shit like that. I mostly get into arguments with people not about how other people should feel about media, but about other people trying to discredit how I feel about a piece of media. The second that I say something and someone tries to discredit that and saying, no, your experience is wrong, then I take an issue, and I think that that's fucking bullshit. So if you're not doing that, then yeah, I'm down for more voices. I'm down for more perspectives, and I'm down for more ways of interpreting media. And not everybody has to agree on the same thing. I think that that's cool that there's many voices saying many different things. All right, Little Wannabe, have you seen HBO Euphoria? If so, thoughts? Yes, I loved season 1. Season 2 was good, except near the end. Tobias Bergdorf, go play Halo with your brother. I will. We're almost done this. Thank you so much. I'm reading very fast, so I will catch up again. Have you seen Neon Demon? It's amazing. Felix Lang. Yes, I've seen it. I give it a 7. I think I did a quickie on it. I will watch it again for my list. I think it's 2016, so I'll be seeing it again sometime soon. Things I can't find. Love the channel. What's the best Scottish film that's not Trainspotting in your opinion? What's a fucking Scottish movie that's not even Trainspotting? Let's see. More Danny Boyle shit. Best Scottish movies. What have I even seen here? Fucking Trainspotting is not like in the front page. What the hell is wrong with you, Google? What the fuck? Dog Soldiers was fine. Shallow Grave was good. Is the Descent a Scottish movie? Because I like The Descent a lot. It holds up like fairly well, even though like some of it is a bit aged, I guess. Ratcatcher I have not seen, so maybe I'll add that. 1999, adding to my watch list. Oh, it's already on my watch list. Never mind. All right. K Scratch. Have you ever seen the Red Turtle 2016? If so, what are your thoughts? Will it be on your 2016 list? Is that the movie where the guy fucked the turtle? Yeah, it is. I thought it was silly. I liked there's good things about the animation. I gave it a 6. And I tried rewatching it because people were like, why didn't you love that movie? And I tried rewatching it a second time. And I was like, dude just fucked a turtle. It was like kind of silly. I think it thought it was a bit more profound than it was. It was fine. It wasn't the level of profound that I would like out of it. There's things I love the detailed backgrounds. There's things about the animation that I like, but yeah, it's not going to be on my list. I enjoyed it, but it was just kind of weird also. Za21, hey Adam, did you ever get around to watching the last, at least episode 3 of Arcane, since you said you might the last time you talked about it a while ago? No, I didn't get around to it. There's a bunch of things that I'm trying to do. It'll probably happen at some point. I don't know. The Super One Player, good night. Thanks for answering my question. Thank you so much. Mark Critiques, love the podcast, which has gotten me through near suicidal times with OCD, although I'm doing far better now. Thank you for helping me. Thank you, and I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad to have helped with that. Fred Word, hope you're doing great. Adam, what movie do you love that you know cannot be remade today? What movie do I love that I know cannot be remade today? I don't know. I think anything is, I guess, The Holy Mountain. That's one of my favorite movies, The Holy Mountain. Nobody's going to touch that shit. Nobody's going to even try to make The Holy Mountain, except Leo Carax, who made Holy Motors, which was his, wannabe Holy Mountain, but not even, and also a different thing. But yeah, I just didn't like. Mandel, do you think Part 2 of The Lion King 2019 will be finished in 2023? No, I do not. Thank you so much. Let's refresh. We're almost done. Okay. Copcat, do you plan what movies you do watch-alongs with in advance, or is it more of a, I want to watch this movie right now, might as well do a watch-along? If you do plan, then what movies will you be doing for watch-alongs next? I'd like to do a lot of podcast recommendations for the watch-alongs. So depending on what the tone of the movie is, or depending on, if there's a 4K Blu-ray or something coming out. So it really depends. I usually give people notice by talking about it on my Twitch stream, or tweeting about it beforehand. I just say click the bell because I don't usually have a set time of when I'm going to do it, particularly because a lot of the times when I do a watch along, it's I'm editing earlier in the day. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to edit a certain thing. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 5 hours. So it's just oh, okay, when I'm finished this, I'll do my watch along. So I don't really have a set time that I do for it. Because once I do a watch along, I'm usually kind of in my end of the night mood sort of thing. All right, Zachary, last super chat for me for the night. Thank you so much. What's the worst movie going experience you've had at a film festival? Thanks for doing this live stream. It was when I watched the film. Fuck, what is this guy's name? It was a Carlos Vermouth film at Toronto Film Festival, which usually has fantastic audiences. It was called Quien te cantará, from the director of Magical Girl. This was a 2018 film. And there was a crazy woman kicking the back of my seat the entire movie, basically trying to wrestle with me over seat space, pretending as if I was blocking her legs or something, even though I was only going back as far as the chair was allowing me to, and she had tons of space, and she was literally had her feet pressed against my chair. I was like, what the fuck? And I turned around, and then people were like, what are you doing, man? And it turned into a Larry David situation where I wasn't doing anything wrong, but people were mad that I turned around and said what are you doing? And they were like, shh. I was like, fuck. So I just moved to a different seat, and I was so pissed off. And next time that happens, I'm literally just going to get theater staff, because that was just so annoying. Yeah, I'll watch the movie again. It kind of ruined the experience. That was really annoying. How old am I? I'm 31 right now. Regan Bienvenue. Without the N. I'm used to the word bienvenue. Bienvenue. That's very interesting. Weird name. Don't mean to say weird in a negative way. I'm just trying to figure out how it's pronounced. Longtime fan. Just wanted to say hi. I rewatch your old vids when I'm caught up on new stuff. Love the stream. I hope you have a happy new year. You as well. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that very much. Bumpered Munch, has Anthony Fantano ever given you his opinion on your album? And What are the chances of getting him on the podcast again? Well, I could get him on the podcast again anytime. We just have to plan for it. He didn't do an official review of my album, but people have asked him about it enough times on his live stream that people have clipped him talking about it. And it seemed like, from what I gather, like he respects a lot of the ambition and the writing going into it. But I would imagine, like, he didn't say this directly, but what my interpretation is that he's probably hung up on a bit of like the production elements, which is understandable because I was really like, I was the only producer on the entire project. And I'm like kind of experienced when it comes to like the production stuff. You know, the mix could be better, but I think that that's part of what makes it special too, is that, you know, it is part of the character of the album is that I'm kind of like figuring it out and doing it on my own. And when I do the next project, I think it's going to sound very different, and hopefully I'm not making things for him to enjoy, but you know, he's not in my mind when I'm creating my art. I'm just doing it for myself and people who I think would connect with it. And I think a lot of people did connect with it. And I think the right people connected with it in terms of, I never aimed to make something like super accessible. I never aimed to make something that is going to be on the top 40. I made something really personal. And so I think that that's something that he understands, and it is easily communicated through the album. And if not everything worked for him, that's fine. It's not, it's not made for everybody. So there's things that if I made it today, I would probably do differently. And part of just diving headfirst into making a feature-length album without having made one before and not working with like any producers and just having yourself and just like a bunch of audio engineers that are just essentially doing what you tell them to do. I think it turned out really fucking good for an album just made by myself with like little to no experience on doing it. And it was ambitious, lots of instruments, and some songs felt like bloated in terms of like how much how many instruments were in one space and like how the sound was used. But I think by the end of the album, like the last track, I think that's where it comes together the best. And I think that's part of what makes it a good album, is like, it is about finding yourself. And I think that that's kind of what, even in terms of like what the production is, I think that that's what, it makes like thematic sense for it to be like that. So I don't regret anything about it. It could be better for sure. But in terms of capturing a point of my life and presenting who I am in a product and just, exposing that part of myself to the world and, sharing that, I think that it did that. And that's all I ever wanted to do. So, let's see. Almost done. Copcat also wanted to recommend Netflix's Daredevil. It's a pretty great superhero show that is even on par, better with The Boys and Invincible. IMO. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know if I want to watch it. It's 2015. Why would you do this to me? Fuck. I'll check out a couple episodes because it's 2015. Fuck you. Thank you. Sorry. I appreciate it. Okay. Josh H. If you get the chance, I recommend checking out HBO's The White Lotus. There's some similar aspect to the Triangle of Sadness in it. There are a lot of social commentary. It's truly hilarious. I've heard good things about it, and I believe it's on my watch list. And also I heard that each season is like different, and then it kind of like finds itself in like season 2 or 3. I heard good things about it. I'm kind of interested in it. Are you going to see Noah Baumbach's White Noise? Yeah, I was going to see it earlier, but shit came up and I wasn't able to catch it in theaters. Is it out now? Is it on Netflix right now? Because I could do a watch along for it, like maybe soon or next week or something. I should. But yeah, I should. I'll leave a tab open for that as well, because yeah, that's something I should figure out right now. Or next week or something. Because yeah, it was supposed to come out like Christmas or something, right? So it's probably on Netflix right now, so there's nothing stopping me from doing a watch along right now. So I'll do that soon. All right. I'm trying to finish up these super chats. I appreciate it. Mr. Sam 2004 just wanted to say anything for my album is one of my favorite songs. Looking forward to hearing more of your music. Any thoughts on the show Seinfeld? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I like Seinfeld. I prefer Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think that's what I would have liked Seinfeld to be. I understand they're like entirely different properties. Seinfeld just felt like too repetitive and formulated for me. It was Seinfeld is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I understand, what it was at the time and the impact that it made culturally and, all this shit. But at the same time, it was just like, I wouldn't know if I'd seen an episode or not. Then I'd be halfway through thinking I hadn't seen it. And then I'd be like, oh, I've seen this exact same episode. But then there's a part of me thinking like, have I seen the episode or have I seen an episode exactly like this episode? And I just didn't know. So yeah, I'm not huge into like super formulated shows. I don't like watching the same episode every time I watch a show. So Trey Wright, here's $5, sending you much love, Adam. Thank you so much. All right. Last super chat of the night, and then I'm going to play Halo with my brother. We've reached the end because I talk very fast. Benny Jones. All right, Flackjack, you're the last one. Benny Jones, do you have overarching goals for 2023, things you'd like to achieve? I'd like to figure out, I'd like to finalize getting like dual residency and figure out what I'm doing living USA, Canada wise. And I don't know. I'm just playing it by ear right now. I'd like to get out more content. I'd like to be more comfortable with my work-life balance and just, everything's been getting better. I'd like to spend more time with my boyfriend. I've been doing that. Everything that I've been looking towards doing, I've been doing. So I think I'm on a good track. Thank you so much. All right. Have you spoke about Guillermo's Pinocchio yet? I did a watch along for it. You can watch along to the movie with me. I have not done an official review for it, but I will be doing that sometime soon. It was something that I might have done today, but I decided not to do because I want to make that a separate video. Anyway, thank you so much, Kay, Scratch, and Diego, also for the super chats. I'm going to end this. So, Fanboy, pimp out that link to the Adam Plays Twitch channel again, because I'm going to end this stream, and then I'm going to start streaming there in about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. 5 minutes to 10 minutes. I'm going to play some Halo Infinite with my brother until he feels tired. So I guess for 1 or 2 hours. So click the link there. You can watch on Twitch. I'm going to play some video games for a couple hours and then go to bed, okay? So thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Fun stream. Excited to do it again next year. I'll be streaming again on this channel for the Oscars. Mark your calendars. It's in March. Just do a Google search. When are the Oscars 2023? I don't remember the exact date, but we'll be doing live commentary for the Oscars. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye. Peace. Mwah, mwah, mwah.